sun shining brightly on the new Kentucky home of the Louisville Cardinals. This is a day of historic proportions as the University of Kentucky arrives to play Louisville in this city for the first time in 80 years. It should be a wild, wide-open affair. With Trevor Manich, I'm Paul Kennedy. A sea of red and blue in a brand new setting for opening day for both teams in the college football season.
Well, Paul, every other year, the arch-rival Kentucky Wildcats come to Louisville wearing shorts and tank tops for a basketball game so big they call it the Dream Game. But it's been since World War I that they've come here wearing helmets and shoulder pads, and it is a bowl game atmosphere in this new stadium today.
The twin spires of Churchill Downs nearby. At the moment, the tallest spires in the game of college football in the Commonwealth, Chris Redman and Kentucky's Tim Couch.
Tim Couch, after a spectacular 1997, enters this year as heir to Peyton Manning, as the top quarterback in the Southeastern Conference and one of the leading Heisman candidates. But across the field wearing red, Chris Redman is also considered to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the nation. Paul, this will be as good a quarterback matchup as we see in college football this year.
The emotions of opening day, very well expressed by Cardinal defensive captain Mike Gantos.
First game in Papa John's, Cardinal Stadium. Our state champ, who's going to be state champ, Kentucky, Louisville, Cards Cats. It's been playing it out. It's been playing itself out for so long that it's finally here.
42,000 packed into Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. Its debut for the Kentucky Wildcats, set to come onto the field to face the Louisville Cardinals. Let's go down to the field. The third member of our broadcast crew, Darren Horton, if you can hear us.
Well, Paul and Trevor, there is a key injury situation. Greg Yeast, their leading wide receiver and kickoff returner, in the final practice before this game, somebody stepped on his foot. They thought he had sprained his left ankle. I talked to head coach Hal Mummy. He says it was just a bruise. I talked to Yeast. He nodded his head and said he is ready to go.
Looks to be running far better than he did on Thursday when he was stepped on. Kentucky, its first trip here since 1915, and in the second season of the Mummy Ball era. Popular Hal Mummy, for a man who a year ago won just 5 football games, 5 and 6. He redefined the way that the game is played in the Bluegrass State. It was Mummy Ball, air it out, establishing all sorts of new records. Now John L. Smith in his debut. How many firsts today? The first game for him as head coach, leaving the Big West champion Utah State program. The Aggies there, a new stadium, and he must face his in-state rival.
And there will be nothing conservative about these two rivals going after one another. Both offenses are wide open, take it to the wall, throw the ball down the field, even if it's fourth down, for goodness sake. Both defenses will try to stop the opposing quarterback by attacking and mixing it up. So this is going to be as aggressive a game as we're going to see today.
The first of 3 on Fox Sports Net. This state, certainly this city, beside itself. It has been called in the media in the Commonwealth the biggest sporting day in the history of Louisville. You can consider the running of the Roses in the springtime. Today they run for the Roses on this natural grass field. Kentucky and Louisville will have to trade ends of the field here. And it will be Kentucky kicking off first, and that is Seth Hansen, the Dallas sophomore, who will boot it away for the blue and white of UK. Twin safeties to greet him. A man with his arm in the air. Raphael Cooper, the senior from Detroit, along with Antonio Roundtree. They're on their feet here for this brand new year. And let me say this, the way that Mummy and Kentucky were so unconventional a season ago, an onside kick to open the year, as preposterous as it sounds, is not out of the question.
Mummy kicked 4 onside kicks in a single game last year.
So take nothing for granted this afternoon. This ought to be wild. It should be a lot of fun. We're delighted you're with us. Together they begin, and this is Roundtree, wrapped up and dropped at the 17-yard line by Marvin Love. So Louisville flies onto the field for the first time. Our Burger King starting lineups, and it's Redman to lead the Redbirds. A 3,000-yard passing year a year ago. The line offensively, Anthony Berg plays on the weak side on the island. The tight end, Ivan Green, the star of the Cardinal receiving corps, hauling in more passes than any other player at his position in the college game a year ago. On first down. Hot Charles Sheffield for a gain of about 3. Defensively, for the Cats today, they embark upon a major rebuilding program, especially up front. 3 seniors out of 11 start, including Mark Jacobs, 274 pounds, the tackle. At the middle of the linebacking corps, Jeff Snedeker from Taylorsville, Ohio. He commands respect. And Jeff Zerker, at the age of 26, senior. Golden. Contact up front. P.J. Zarizny, the center, driven backward by Marvin Major, Kentucky's defensive tackle, number 98.
Prior to the snap, offside, under defense. 5-yard penalty, remains second down. Well, Paul Major sure got his money's worth on that. If you're going to jump offside, you might as well leave a mark. Look right in the middle. Boom, right there. He just jumps on the hard count, but as long as he's going to do it, he gets a hit on the quarterback by way of the center.
Arnold Jackson to the top of your screen to the near side. Charles Sheffield following the penalty. And off the right side, close to the first down marker. The first toe of the afternoon for Frank Moreau, the junior from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. At 220 pounds. They'll run out of the single back set for the most part this afternoon, and those Frank's numbers from his sophomore campaign. It is a first down for Louisville.
That's Moreau's style. He's the power runner in this backfield. Louisville will use 3 backs. 2 of them are swift. 1 of them is like Mike Allstott from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he'll power it in there and doesn't need a hole to get you a first down over 1 or 2 yards.
Lavelle Boyd joins the receiving corps, so a trio of wideouts, and Ivan Green set for the near side. On first down, some running room. Redman paid a bit of a price. Mark Jacobs, John Rader 2. On that stop, there is Jacobs from Shalimar, Florida, a senior. Rare to see seniors on that side of the football, and Kentucky starts 7 new players today. 7 defenders marking their first collegiate starts.
This is a young defense. What they've done is traded experience for speed. The guys they've got back there are fast, but they're not used to playing these sophisticated defensive sets.
True freshmen as well in the secondary. That includes David Johnson running across the formation. Moreau off the right side, and there's nowhere to go. Upended for little or no gain. Marlon McCree in the middle of that mix, the sophomore outside linebacker.
Well, Paul, everybody was in the middle of that one. This is a problem with being in the first year of an offense. They're not allowing Redman to audible like they would and like they will in future years. That time, Kentucky's defense stacked the line of scrimmage, had one-on-one coverage on the outside. Redman wasn't given the authority to audible, though.
How do they play it here? Ottoman up in the box. Man covered, third down and 1. Redman on the roll. Running on a roll and out of bounds. And polished off 2. The fans want a flag for a late hit on the far side of the field, and it looks as if they may have gotten it. Redman was headed out of bounds, and the late shot on the far side of the boundary. And then George Massey has Coach Al Mummy scratching his head. It'll be a first down for Louisville.
Well, that's just a big mistake. They had him stopped. They were going to get Tim Couch in good field position after this punt. Instead, they give him a first down. Now, Redman's just trying to survive. He gets out of bounds and right there and lands on him. That's a cheap shot. Now, that happens on Louisville sideline. You roll up your quarterback out of bounds like that. Close to a foul on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down. That happens on Louisville's sideline, and there are several Kentucky defenders over there that won't be able to make it back under their own power to their own sidelines. You don't touch a quarterback like that.
The encroachment call, and then the 15-yard personal foul. And on first down, Redman drops, throws down the boundary, and he overshoots. Perhaps some confusion. He had 2 targets on the far side, and both Charles Sheffield and Arnold Jackson running together there.
Yeah, Redman had what he wanted. He wanted single coverage, and they had that. But Jackson and Green got too close. One of them should have broken off and cut inside, or broken off and come back. Instead, when you've got 2 receivers that close to one another, you've also got 2 defenders right there. There was nowhere to go with that football.
And this is for Ivan Green. And for the Cards, the best defense of a tin couch and a prolific offensive machine known as the Kentucky Wildcat offense. Here's Monroe, trucked up to the line of scrimmage. Let's go to Los Angeles. For this game break, here's Kevin Frazier.
Paul, Mark McGuire has done it again. His first at bat this afternoon. In St. Louis, he rocked Cincinnati's Dennis Reyes into the left field seats. It's home run number 60. He is now 1 short of tying Roger Maris's home run record. Mac, you can catch him tomorrow on Fox. Of course, we'll keep you updated all day on Sammy Sosa's exploits. He's at 57. But right now, let's send you back to Louisville and Paul Kennedy.
60 on this Saturday. There's Ivan Green. A short game coming over the middle, but he gets his hands on the football for the first time, and there to greet him. Number 17 for the Cats. Rough and tumble, Jeff Snedeker. They're going to be matched up a bunch here this afternoon.
Snedeker, an outstanding player, good cover guy, good pass rusher, and what you'll find here is he can stay with Ivan Green just enough to allow his help to come up over the top. Ivan Green will draw a crowd every time he catches that football.
Louisville is going to have to punt. Craig Yeast will field the kick of Jeremy Borseth, the senior, 3-year letterman. From his 38, pulls down the high snap. See how that ankle is as Yeast runs up and dives and makes the tough catch, and a flag is thrown too. Louisville's Antonio Roundtree was very close to Yeast. The yellow flag was tossed right where Yeast fielded the football. Yeast returning punts, put it 1 for a touchdown in his sophomore year. Perhaps the defender too close, as this officiating crew is assigned by the Big Ten Conference. Works this first game, and it is interference against Roundtree and the Cardinals.
So the rule is you've got to give him 2 yards to catch a punt. And since it was such a short punt, Yeast had to come way up and was actually off balance as he tried to field that. As the coverage team came down, they expected him to field that ball deeper.
We're underway. Mr. Smith goes to Louisville, his very first game and a brand new season. Net is brought to you by Exxon, the best way to get you there. And by Marriott Hotels, Resorts, and Suites. We believe when you're comfortable, you can do anything. In Louisville this afternoon, the Wildcats now coming onto the field, led by America's top passer of a season pass. In our Burger King lineups, the record-setting Kentucky native Tim Couch. The offensive line experience triggered by 3-year letterman Jason Watts over the football. Tackle to tackle, all 5 starters, seniors. A glamorous receiving corps, too. Everyone touches the ball. H-back Anthony White effective both toting the rock and is a record-setting receiver out of the backfield a year ago for UK. He shattered records on a weekly basis. That's Lance Nicholson on the move, and the ball is thrown into the flat, and White tripped up and dumped by Courtney Dinkins after the short game. Louisville defensively, can the Cardinals at least slow down the Big Blue? They did on that play. The left end, Mike Gantos, the captain, a junior. The linebackers in a flex scheme can all run well, and that includes number 17, Otis Floyd. And the secondary with 3 players starting their very first game at their respective positions. Antonio Roundtree, we've seen him on special teams. He comes out of the backfield to open up at a cornerback position. They'll keep it on the ground. Derek Homer 205-pound sophomore works it inside. Kentucky wants to get him the ball a bunch today. They were looking for about 20 carries out of him. That'd be a quarter of his totals of a season ago.
Well, Kentucky has the reputation, well-deserved, of being a finesse team that throws the ball, but you lose sight of the fact that they've got two outstanding running backs in Homer and White.
Out of the gun for Tim Couch. Open receiver, first down. The 45-yard line, Craig Yeast. Wrestled out of bounds, too, by Antonio Roundtree. It's a first down for the Cats on a gain of 19.
Well, so much for Yeast's sore ankle. He just ran away from the coverage on this one. Yeast is going to come from the top right of your screen. Couch is looking for him the whole way. He doesn't even check off to anybody else. He's looking for one guy on this, and that's his star receiver, Yeast, who led the SEC in receptions last season.
The top returning target. All the schools, all 12 in the SEC. Look at those numbers. To the left side of the formation. Dancing to a hole there at Coder. And he rips him for 8 yards. Burrell, the safety, comes up. Great step at the line of scrimmage to find the seam.
There's a big hole there. That's one thing you get, Paul, when you've got 5 seniors. One thing about blocking is not necessarily driving people off the ground, off the ball. What you'll see here is that the offensive line will go ahead and get on their guys and stay on them. No one's being pushed anywhere, really. What's happening, though, is they're sticking, and that allows Homer the time to be able to find that hole and get through it.
2 big chunks, close to 30 yards in 2 plays. The end around Yeast now with the handoff to the far side. And his face mask is grabbed as well as he sprints down to the 35-yard line. Tack on the penalty. And Kentucky is moving rather quickly down the field.
Well, Paul, we saw Yeast in practice on Thursday. They had a drill, kickoff drill, in helmets and shorts and T-shirts, basically jerseys. The purpose of that was to avoid injury. And during this half-speed little drill, somebody came across and stepped right on Yeast's foot. And we saw him sitting on the cart with an ice bag on his ankle, and the head coach fighting with the trainer, trying to figure out what's wrong with him and when he's going to be able to play. He has just answered the question right now as to whether or not he'll be ready.
Personal foul. Tackling by the face mask. On the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Little loud, isn't it? Along with Trevor Maddox. Out on the sidelines, too, Darren Horton. I'm Paul Kennedy. Fox Sports Net today. The very first game in Louisville in 80 years between these two. The very first for a brand new stadium. Homer hammered as he works the ball close to the 16-yard line. Look for Homer to be the primary ball carrier for Hal Mumme and this Wildcat offensive attack throughout the season. They, too, will run out of a single back set. Homer out of Fort Knox.
Well, this is a hot day, and there's only one team out here that's been hitting in practice, and that's Louisville. They've been hitting. Kentucky hasn't really hit since spring ball. And so all this running, all this attack, I think as both teams wear down, you might see in the fourth quarter that it works against Kentucky if this heat and humidity stay the same.
A timeout taken at the moment. Our referee.
Please reset the clock to 8:07. 8:07.
Steve Newman heading this crew today as Kentucky drives toward the closed end of Papa John's Cardinals Stadium. Louisville's waited for decades to put those two names together in the stadium here in this city.
8:07.
And the clock now reset. Which team will score the historic first ever touchdown or register the first ever points in this new stadium? At the moment, it looks to be Kentucky. Motion prior to the snap whistles, and the play will come back. Another flag.
Play. No play. No play. Dead ball. Ball start on the offense.
Third penalty already in the first quarter, Trevor, for Kentucky.
Paul, the rule on this is the same as in the NFL. If the defense comes across the line, encroaches on the neutral zone, and that causes the offensive lineman to jump, it's on the defensive lineman. But that time, it looked like Hargrove just stood up but didn't get into the neutral zone. So when the offensive line of Kentucky jumped, it was on them.
Jimmy Robinson along with Craig Yeast for the 7th play of this drive to the top of your screen. See their feet. And here comes Yeast. Got a big first quarter already. Looking out into the flat and taken down is Anthony White. Rashad Harris, the linebacker, on his back. It's 3rd down.
Rashad Harris was a starter last year at 17 years old as a true freshman. Which is incredible when you think of the body of a 17-year-old kid out there playing Division I football, and he just chased down an outstanding runner out of the backfield all the way to the sideline. This is the hallmark of this Cardinals linebacking core. Good speed, good mobility.
We might very well be in 4-down territory the way Mummy has played it in the past. 3rd and long. Couch looks end zone. Here comes the heat. Gotta go. Sacked and dropped by Reggie Hargrove. Hargrove from the blind side.
Hargrove from the top of your screen will be coming around Jonas Leaning, who's the left tackle, and he was brought in as a junior college transfer to bring some experience to this defensive line, and that was a good veteran move to duck underneath the protection.
From 41 yards out, Seth Hansen. He will tack the first point in the history of the stadium on the board. But if you are Louisville, you gotta like the looks of this, the way that he went to the couch.
Here's a tool so handy you'll want several. One for the toolbox, workshop, camper, boat, car, even the kitchen drawer. It slices and strips wire faster and cleaner than any other wire cutters we've seen. Its carbide sharpener will put a super sharp, long-lasting edge on almost any blade in your home. It cuts tile, slices and strips wire, it sharpens, and more. No wonder it's called the multi-tool. Now, for a limited time, if you take advantage of this special TV offer, we'll tell you how to get a multi-tool absolutely free. Yes, one free if you order from this TV ad now. This is 3/8-inch thick steel-reinforced plate glass. Let's see if multi-tool is up to the challenge. There you go. No problem. From thick glass to delicate mirror, multi-tool cuts it safely and easily. Call or send now. There's never been a better tool for cutting tile. You can get multi-tool for only $9.98. Why, this one circular tile cut alone is worth the price of multi-tool. It slices carpet effortlessly without rips or tears. Special carbide grooves let you sharpen scissors. Dull metal particles fly off as multi-tool puts a new edge on this old hoe. Use it on lawnmower blades and axes. Multi-tool is only $9.98. Order 2 and we'll include a 3rd multi-tool free. Yes, order 2 and you'll get 1 free. Act now.
You'd have to believe Louisville is delighted with the fact Kentucky settled for 3, a rare occurrence when you consider that the Wildcats kicked all of last season 4 field goals. They get 1 for their very first points of the year. A very long 9-play scoring drive, better than 4 minutes, presented by Buick, our scoring drive today. The first of what we expect to see to be a ton of points registered here.
We expect a lot, and this is way different from last year's opening when Kentucky came out with all the momentum in their home stadium and Louisville looked flat. You've got the opposite here. The Louisville Cardinals buoyed by this great home crowd in red at this brand new stadium.
Seth Hansen with that 42-yarder, the left footer, a career best. Hits this one very, very high, and on the return, Raphael Cooper loses the ball, goes back and picks it up and pays the price. David Johnson, the freshman from Virginia Beach, who remains in the game to play at the strong safety position, here hustling down on special teams.
Well, this is part of excitement when you start to run before you catch the ball. You know, you need to stop and make sure you secure it. You could see that his eyes were off of that football and starting to look upfield before he actually secured it. You know, and that's the other side of that two-edged sword of being incredibly fired up for your first game.
Louisville now backed up about its own 11-yard line. Second series for Redman off the short drop, and he throws out in range. Just tripped up at the 31-yard line. Jeff Zerker got him around the shoe tops, or Ivan Green was gone.
This is a heady play by Redman. He looked in the box. There were 7 defenders there. That means he had one-on-one to the outside. He goes to his favorite target, Ivan Green, to whom he's been throwing. Check that. That's Sheffield. That's Charles Sheffield. And Sheffield had one-on-one. And that's why Redman threw it there.
After the gala, second down. Redman going deep again. Caught by Arnold Jackson, and he is gone. Touchdown.
Kentucky defensive coordinator Mike Major told Paul and I yesterday that he wanted to come into this game first to stop the run. First stop the run. Well, Chris Redman just burned him for it, because the first play of that series, they had 7 in the box to stop the run. It was a completion to Sheffield one-on-one. Again, you've got 7 in the box to stop the run. One-on-one coverage again. Love trying to chase
Arnold Jackson
down the field and unable to do it. All that is pitch and catch, Paul. That's as simple as they do it in a 7-on-7 drill in practice.
Rushing the passer on the defense. The penalty is declined. Touchdown.
As long as the stadium stands, let the record book show that Chris Redman's 65-yard bomb to Arnold Jackson will be the first points ever recorded here. The extra point by John Hilbert squeezes inside the upright. 7-0. Louisville flying high and leading its arch rival in the dawn of a new era. For 7, and he loves this new John L. Smith offense.
Well, as soon as I looked at it and I, kind of found out exactly what it was, I was just like, man, this is perfect. This is the offense that I wanted to play in, and it kind of reminds me of high school a little bit, where you just kind of take the handcuffs off and you get to go out and pretty much just let loose and throw the ball around and kind of do what I see. I can kind of go to it and do it. So it's perfect for me.
There's no ball and chain around Chris Redman. That red bird. Just 22 seconds to find the end zone. 24 yards to Charles Sheffield, and then 65 yards to Vaughn. And look at the kickoff, 8 yards into the end zone. Kentucky will begin first and 10 from its 20-yard line now. And let's go down to the field, and here's Darren.
Guys, it was very important to get ahead in this ball game. John Smith said that they didn't want to be behind. Remember, a year ago, they were in the hole 21-0. He said to get ahead in this game was not only important for this game, but for the entire season in turning around this program.
Yeah, you're right, Darren.
Boy, Darren's a bit hot down there. It's hot and muggy on that field, Paul. Conditioning is going to be a factor as this game goes on.
Surrounded by better than 42,000 fans today. Out of the gun, Tim Couch. Quickly to the flat. There's Craig Yeast with those feet. Just blows around Roundtree. Antonio Roundtree, the defender, playing his very first game as a cornerback after being shifted from running back. And he was taken to school there by Craig Yeast.
That's not really fair, because Yeast has spent years learning how to beat cornerbacks out there. Roundtree's been on offense his entire life. Moved over to cornerback because he was such a good athlete that they wanted to get him on the field. And they had other good running backs, and so they moved number 3, Antonio Roundtree, to cornerback. Well, in this case, the more experience of Craig Yeast won out.
Single back set again for the Cats, and they elect to keep it on the ground here. As you can see, there's not much there. Matt Sexton, the right end, led the red surge. All over. Derek Homer Fox Sports News Primetime is your source for college football news. Who's making a run for the Heisman? What teams are moving up in the rankings? Which contenders remain undefeated? We've got college football covered like no one else. Fox Sports News Primetime, tonight after the games. Check your local listings. This man right here, Tim Couch, hopes to visit New York, the Downtown Athletic Club, in December. Here he has to pull it down again. Good coverage. Finds a man open. At the 30, down to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Whalen's into the end zone for a touchdown.
Well, that's the kind of game we have shaping up here, Paul. If you give those quarterbacks protection, you're not going to be able to cover all those receivers. That time they had 4 guys out into the pass pattern, and Couch had all day to throw. Whalen ran a long ways to get open, but Couch had the time to wait.
And Couch emotional as he returns to the big blue bench. James Whalen, the junior tight end, rambles 56 yards. Bad snap from center. The spot, though, is good by Matt Mummy. And Hansen knocks it home. It's 10-7. 2 big scoring plays by our 2 quarterbacks.
85 on the right of your screen in blue. 85, he's in the middle now. He's coming across. His route took him over to the right side, but when he saw Couch in trouble, he stopped, reversed his field, came back, and you just can't cover it for that long. Now Whalen, well, that's a bit of a late hit right there. But you know, Couch is not used to getting hit a lot, and he completes this for a long touchdown. But he was sacked in the first drive, and he took some hits, but he's excited. He doesn't care about that. He just wants that score.
37 touchdowns a year ago, second in all the nation. And he has his first of kickoff 98. James Whalen, the tight end, hanging around and getting open.
Well, I think we may be heading for a basketball score in this game.
Just might be, huh? We're doing it. The time of possession here, less than a minute for both clubs. Look ahead to next week on College Football Saturday. Mississippi State takes on Conference USA member Memphis. Then the Hurricanes from Miami hook up with Cincinnati, the Cornhuskers. Visit California. Check your local listings for the games in your area. Here today, it's just the 3rd year Conference USA to take on the storied Southeastern Conference. Antonio Roundtree from his 15, a very short kick away from him. Across the 20, up to the 24-yard line.
24-yard line. Tackled by Kelly and Ronnie Riley.
Again, with a stopwatch, you measure the scoring drives for both teams.
I think we're going to need a couple of abacuses here to add up all these scores. This is becoming a duel of 2 gunslinger quarterbacks. I mean, you had a scoring drive for a field goal by Couch. Redman came right back with a long touchdown pass, and Couch said, okay, threw a long one of his own. And that's the mark of a great quarterback and a great offense, Paul. Not just moving the ball and scoring, but following up a big play by the opponent with a big play of your own. Both quarterbacks have done that now. It's only the first quarter.
How can Chris Redman answer? We've got better than 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. A sweep around the right side encounters a sea of blue. Matt Leo included. It's 2nd down. Kentucky shuttling up front. This is a defense that surrendered 32 points a game last year. That ranked dead last in the SEC. They were burned for 55 or more points on 3 separate occasions. They had a lot of improving to do. Redman looks for the slant and finds Charles Sheffield. Sheffield, who had the big 24-yard gainer on the previous drive for Louisville, is out to the 29-yard line for the junior from Covington, Kentucky.
This is the same play that Redman hooked up with Sheffield on the opposite side of the field in the last drive. Sheffield saw 8 men in the box, or 7 men in the box to stop the run. So he went out on the one-on-one coverage against Sheffield on the slant.
A year ago, Kentucky, one of its 5 wins at the Cardinals' expense on opening day, 38-24. Loose ball on the field. But the center, P.J. Zarizny, able to pounce back on it.
Number 51, Zarzinski.
That would be a disaster. It would be a catastrophe to give the Cats the ball on that side of the field. Ivan Green is going to have his work cut out today, working to get off the line of scrimmage.
Well, he led all tight ends in catches last year. They're not even going to let him get free. That's Snedeker mugging him, and Green mugs Snedeker right back. If I were Green, I'd be careful about picking that fight. I would run away from Snedeker as much as I could.
Two tough guys. Put on the boxing gloves. The putter, Jeremy Borseth on the kick. First effort was of 31. Another high snap and a very high punt. This is Yeast calling for the fair catch and making it at his 31-yard line. That's a boot of 40 yards without a return. Kentucky and Louisville, two storied schools, and perhaps the most famous alumni of the University of Louisville honored prior to the start of today's game, and that would be Johnny Unitas. Johnny U, with great quarterback who wore number 16 in Cardinal red before starring Hall of Fame career with the Baltimore Colts. That wonderful statue here in the stadium. The Hall of Fame will be named after him as well.
And Paul, that was one of the all-time bad personnel moves. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a chance to sign him and keep him. They signed him, but they let him go. Let him go to Baltimore, and the rest is history.
History being made today. Couch the blitz on, throws the slip screen. Yeast comes back this way and picks his way to the 35, 36-yard line. The corner, Rashad Holman, greets him.
Well, Yeast shows a lot of courage coming all the way back into the teeth of that pursuit that time. That was a quick screen to Yeast out there. The offensive line took off, ran to the left to pick off the man-to-man coverage, and Couch just fired it out there. But I guess Yeast decided he wanted to come back inside and challenge everybody else.
Tim Couch has connected on every passing attempt here in the first quarter that has less than 2 minutes to go on it. Can he make it 7 for 7? Yeah, he can. And the tight end, Jimmy Haley, hooks up for the first time and then is shoved out of bounds. No flag coming. Otis Floyd right there. Give an extra little push. Whalen with a touchdown today. The man who plays behind Jimmy Haley. And that's a first down for Kentucky. The plays being signaled in from the head coach, Mal Mumme. Couch looks down at the wristband, makes the call. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Hunting Kevin Coleman.
That's Derek Kennedy.
And it was batted down by Derek Kennedy, the left tackle. Number 96, the third-year starter. Close to 6 feet 4 inches tall, getting his arms in the air.
Paul, had this not been batted down, it might have been another big play for Kentucky, because the hands come up there and knock it down, but just beyond that screen, you've got Coleman, who's the wide receiver, being covered on a crossing route by Harris, who's a linebacker. Big matchup, mismatch in favor of Kentucky if that ball doesn't get batted.
Gary Davis out wide. And it's batted down again. Nearly picked off. Nearly intercepted by Rashad Harris, who had nothing but green grass in front of him. Tipped at the line. Who gets their hand up there?
Number 52, Rashad Harris, very instinctive when he sees that ball come. He's able to move, and you notice that his shoulders were squared up like they're supposed to be, but his eyes weren't on the ball. He had half of it right, but he's a young guy, and as he learns those fundamental techniques, this guy will be a scary player.
Yeast to the far side. Man up with Don Bibb. Dialing his number the whole way, and he overshoots it. The play clearly designed to go that way, and listen to the hand for this Louisville defense. Consecutive incompletions now for Couch after the hot start. And that possession took about 30 seconds, too. Not very long with the football.
Cardinal defense not showing the Heisman candidate much respect here.
Arnold Jackson scored a touchdown today. Set to field the punt. Jimmy Carter angling it away from Jackson as Mummy prefers to do away from the return men. And it's down at about the 15, 14-yard line. Redman back on the field. These are new uniforms for the University of Louisville.
Your attention, please. Fans at the top.
It's our referee again.
There is no foul. Disregard the foul.
John L. Smith took the uniforms.
Surrounding the top row.
Took the name off the back of the uniforms. Different philosophy for him and this program.
We're and us, we in our program, I tell them to take I, me, and my out of their vocabulary and get rid of it. You got to care about your teammates. You got to love your teammates, or we're not going to have success. So my belief is there is no number one, and we tell them this: the team is number one. Us as an individual, we're not number one. So we have a jersey, it's number one, and it says team, but no individual wears that team number.
Is there an I in team, Trevor?
No, and there isn't one in Paul either. I've been trying to find one there. Antonio Roundtree, cornerback for the Cardinals, wore number one when John L. Smith came in. And Coach Smith asked him to relinquish that number so that they could frame it and put it up as an icon to the team. And Roundtree was glad to do so.
Roundtree now on the defensive side of the football. Leroy Collins, a junior college transfer, has been quite impressive. Out of Alfred State of New York with his first carry. He's back there with Redman on second down. Redman steps up and unloads short. He was looking for Ivan Green behind the play. Zarizny remained locked up with the Wildcat pass rusher, and they wrestled around. No flag coming right in front of the referee in that closed end zone here, Cardinal Stadium. It may not be the biggest stadium in all the land, but it is certainly magnificent. Every seat here is a chairback seat. $63 million of construction. It is a real show palace here on the banks of the Ohio River. There's Ivan Green's numbers. You can see the most prolific tight end. Picking up the ball and then dumping it. The ball was caught by Collins quickly, but it'll still be a loss on the play, and it's 3 and out for the Cards.
Boy, Paul, they had what they wanted on that one, too. It was a screen pass against man-to-man coverage. When that happens, the offensive line tracks the linebacker who has coverage on the screen back. And if they can get there and pick him off, then there's nobody for a mile to cover because they're all run deep in their man-to-man coverage. They'll come back to that play, and soon.
Jeremy Borson. His third punt today. 40 on the last time around. Kicking to Yeast, the last man that Louisville wants to handle the football. Again high, Yeast runs up at his 46 and is able to make the fair catch. And again, Louisville will be flagged for interference. Rashad Harris, chest to chest with Yeast. That's the second time in this first quarter Louisville has made the special teams mistake.
Well, I don't know that this one should be called if that's indeed what it was. That didn't look close enough to me. He might have been technically within those 2 yards, but it didn't look to me like it really interfered with him. And I think in that case, discretion might be the best thing.
Kick catch interference, violation of the 2-yard radius against the kicking team. 5 yards from the spotter, foul, push down.
So that puts the Wildcats in business at the Louisville 48-yard line. Less than half a minute remaining in quarter number 1. This one's going to take a while to play today, this air show, isn't it?
Well, I played at BYU. We used to have 4-hour football games there.
You might be used to this then. To the near side, cut by Quentin McCord. McCord is gone. Quentin McCord on the very first play, 48 yards. For the man who missed all of last season due to injury, Kentucky's in the end zone for a second time.
And Paul, once again, Kentucky created a physical mismatch back there. McCord ran a short crossing route all the way across the field. And the way the formation was set up, linebacker Herring had to chase him all the way across. Cannot keep up.
The extra point. Kentucky's on a roll now. 2 big plays. James Whalen first. And now Quentin McCord.
Now look at number 20, Bud Herring. He's got to pick up Quentin McCord across there. There's just no way that that's going to happen. And now it's just a matter of talent in the open field and speed. And Quentin McCord has plenty of both.
14 unanswered for the record-setting Tim Couch. 2 touchdown tosses for number 2 in the very first quarter of a brand new year.
And he's excited about that. This is his Heisman race, and he's on national television right now on Fox Sports Net, and he knows this is big. How many times did I see Steve Young do that when I played with him at BYU? Exactly like that. Go down there, and Steve Young was a strong guy. Tim Couch is a strong, physical guy. And sometimes Steve would go down there just like Couch did right there and congratulate his receiver so much I was afraid he would hurt the receiver. So that's an excited guy.
A legend in the making to rival that of Daniel Boone in the state of Kentucky.
Well, Paul, the good thing about that by Couch was not the throw. It was an easy throw to make. It was the patience in allowing McCord the time to run across and eventually be picked up by Herring. He waited until that happened. He knew it was going to happen. That's the mental side that Couch brings.
Scott Hansen's had a very busy first quarter. Cooper able to field this one. Hard running up across the 25 to the 26-yard line. It's good for a gain of 22. With just 8 ticks left, 9 ticks left, as you see in our Fox 5.
27-yard line.
It's 3 and out for Louisville on the previous possession, and for Coach John Smith, his offensive coordinator Bob Petrino, they need to hold on the football here. Couch gets going, and it's bam, bam. He's into the end zone rather quickly twice.
Louisville has to stay close. If they stay close with Kentucky into the fourth quarter because of their superior conditioning, I think the Cardinals have an edge. But right now, this offense must answer back with a score.
All of our scoring has come in the last 6 minutes. 4 receivers for Redman. Right over the middle. Jackson for a first down. Upfield near the 40. Marvin Lowe wrestles him down. Well, a year ago, Kentucky struck quickly, tying a school record for the most points in a first quarter with 21 en route to a win. They get 17 here in quarter number 1, and we have played our very first period in Cardinal Stadium. A shootout today. Chris Redman, Tim Couch on Fox Sports Net.
It's complete. He's unstoppable.
Vegas Insider gives me the expert picks I need to win. Yeah.
From the betting capital of the world, introducing a special invitation from Vegas Insider, a 2-week free trial membership. And to get you started winning right now, the operator will give you a free pick when you call.
For me, winning takes more than skill or luck. It takes access to expert insider information. And that's what I get from Vegas Insider.
With your free trial, you get expert picks from our all-star team of handicappers, updated lines with access to live odds from top Vegas casinos, in-depth analysis, live scoreboards, injury and weather reports, plus discounts on merchandise.
Since I joined the Vegas Insider, I'm a winner.
To access Vegas Insider, you need an internet connection. To access it on TV, call to learn how. But call now for your 2-week free trial and free pick. Remember, don't count on luck to win. Count on Vegas Insider.
The Gators season kicks off September 5th as the Gators clash with the Citadel live on pay-per-view. The 97 Citrus Bowl champs look to start their season with a win over the Bulldogs. It's the Florida Gators and the Citadel Bulldogs live on pay-per-view Saturday, September 5th at 6 p.m. Don't miss the action. To order, call your local cable operator today. SunshineNetwork.com is the source for golf. From the fairways to the greens, from the course to the clubhouse, log on to SunshineNetwork.com for all of the latest information on the links.
Fox Sports Net. Now the home of the Big Bats and the Cardinals. No, not Mark McGuire. That's the home of the Louisville Slugger. That's where they are made, and Guess who was swinging the big lumber today? Guess who went yard for the 60th time this season?
You tell me, Paul.
Mark McGuire today. Couch has gone yard a couple of times himself. Very first touchdown reception of Quentin McCord's career, the sophomore receiver. James Whalen on the receiving end as well. And it is 17-7 as we open quarter number 2. On the draw, and out of Jackson, the end around, and he gets it sealed. And a block. And a first down. Let's hustle you out to Los Angeles in our College Football Saturday studio. What's going on, Kevin, with Tennessee and Syracuse?
Guys, we thought we had an upset in the making. The Q's trying to ambush number 10 Tennessee in the dome, but with time running out, Jeff Hall drills the 27-yarder, and Phil Fulmer sneaks away by the hair of his chinny chin. 34-33, the final score. Paul, it was close, but Tennessee survived.
And T. Martin pulling for him.
And that's a tough team to have to play this early in the season for the Volunteers.
A tough way to make a yard.
Well, I'd give him the yard back.
Holy mackerel, his face mask may be dented there. John Rader, the middle linebacker. Those are first quarter numbers, by the way. John Rader took Ivan Green's white face mask and put it right through the helmet there.
Ivan Green has a huge target painted on all sides of his body. They've got it in infrared. They've got it in black and white. That guy's going to always get nailed every time he touches that football because of what he did last year.
Over the middle again. Should draw a flag. Green. Interfered with. Slanted. Over the middle. Willie Gary out of the secondary jumped the route. Knew what was coming and arrived a hair early.
Well, Gary hasn't had a lot of practice this fall because he's been out with an ankle injury. Now here's Ivan Green. This is exactly what he's looking at as he's coming across. And all that is missed timing.
On the defense. Spotter foul. First down.
That's just missed timing by Gary, and that's a factor of not having practice for weeks and weeks during this fall camp because he's just now come back from an injury.
Fourth penalty today against the Cats. Play action. Redman is hammered. Jump ball caught at the 12-yard line. What a grab, LaVelle Boyd. It's a first down. And Redman will love him for that as he went around Jeremy Bowie. You're talking about basketball at the outset today. It's a jump ball at the 15-yard line.
He had absolutely no way to do anything here. He just gets nailed, and that's why that ball goes way up in the air. Redman is a tough guy. He got hit like that all year last year. But that just happens once in a while now. It'll be good for him.
Inside, Leroy Collins.
Boy, Paul, I'm still thinking about that hit that Redman just took. I mean, that's as hard as you will ever see a quarterback get hit right there.
33.
Marlon McCree leveled him. The linebacker leveled Redman, who hung in there tough. And now the jump ball.
And this is just like that Louisville, Kentucky basketball game there.
Denny Crum would love this.
And look at the hit right under the chin. Now, in the NFL, that's a $20,000 fine to land on a quarterback with your helmet right in his chin. I don't think you can find a college kid $20,000, though. Marlon McCree, a linebacker. He's only about 200 and some pounds. He's a little guy, but he's got quickness and explosion. Now, when he blitzes in untouched, watch your mouthpiece.
Third down, needing 3 to hold on to the football. Same play 3 separate times. Very conservative play calling from John Smith and his offensive staff down deep.
You know, Paul, I don't know that it's conservative so much as it fits a philosophy. John Smith and his staff want to have a punishing offense, even when it's finesse, even when they're doing the finesse.
So the field goal unit will come on and try and salvage 3 from 22 yards out. Here's John Hilbert. Returning is the Cards kicker. See, last year, a half dozen field goals. Just a chip shot. Jeremy Borseth, the punter, sets it down. Plays the tough angle pretty darn well. And Louisville tightens the spread to a touchdown. 17-10 in this one in the first half, living up to its billing. We play in the bluegrass state of Kentucky today. The Cats coming a calling to take on homestanding Louisville, but is there also, Darren, something known as Cardinal red grass?
Oh, it certainly is red grass. Actually, it's GN1 Bermuda grass. The GN stands for Greg Norman. He uses it on his golf courses. In fact, would you believe that this field actually meets USGA draining specifications? One other note, it's also the same grass that they use up in Green Bay at Lambeau Field.
They're playing in Lambeau Field tomorrow. He's going to have about a 200-yard to 300-yard all-purpose afternoon.
Going to have a lot of opportunities to bring that ball back. And Paul, that field, if you go out there, being a USGA certified field, if you go out there and practice with your pitching wedge, I guarantee you, you will be shot. Don't do it.
Good to see Greg Norman, too, returning to health. Reading today that the great white shark will be back on tour soon, but it is his agronomy firm that he owns. He's designing and really minting millions with synthetic turf such as this. A man who means immense to Kentucky, Tim Couch, with the football. A lot of time, and he has a target at the 40-yard line in McCord. McCord is open big, about 17 yards. Down and over the middle, and Courtney Dinkins is in on the stop. A lot of time to throw for Tim Couch.
That's the key to this kind of a route. Same thing McCord scored a touchdown on earlier on, where there's so much time that he has the time to run all the way across the field. It's an all-senior offensive line protecting this kid.
Couch today nearing 200 yards already. McCord's second reception.
3-yarder.
The hit, everybody covered. And now floats. Goes for broke downfield, and it continues for him. His third score, Jermaine White. Gets away from Rashad Holman. Couch with a 57-yard bomb for 6 more.
And Couch with forever to throw that football.
That's a toss. You see the Johnny Unitas statue framed by the goalpost. Johnny U would have loved that.
Extra point by Hanson is good.
Hanson, the extra point. Tim Couch, 3 touchdowns in the first half for invaded Kentucky.
Philips introduces the CD recorder, the revolutionary way to make a CD as unique as you are.
It's insane. Drip, 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 water on my brain.
So, you're gonna take your act on the road, huh?
Don't worry.
Well, at Alamo, the going rate is going down.
Drive happy.
All the way down to $21 a day in Florida. And everywhere else in the U.S., just $29 a day. Is this a fun country or what? Call 1-800-GO-ALAMO today.
Don't worry. Drive happy. Drive happy now.
Hi, I'm Brian Hill. On behalf of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, I'd like to thank our many sponsors who are helping to make our 3rd annual Drive for a Cure a great success. Cystic fibrosis is the #1 genetic killer of children and young adults in the U.S. today. With the support of our sponsors and the community, we are moving ever closer to discovering a cure and eliminating this disease. Working together, we can all give our young people with cystic fibrosis the quality of life and future that they deserve.
Here, Couch is looking to his left, double coverage on Coleman. He will turn around, look to his right, see single coverage on Jermaine White, and that's where he throws the ball. He's got all day to do this, and number 28, Jermaine White, you're going to get open if you've got that long in one-on-one coverage. No one is within 30 yards of those two guys.
Jermaine White with speed to burn. He's a 4-4, we are told by the Cat staff.
He's the guy they wanted to redshirt this year, but he had such an outstanding spring and fall camp they couldn't afford to.
How can you run a 4-4, 6 feet 6 inches tall?
You can run right into the NFL doing that.
Raphael Cooper flagged down. Cooper lost his edge. Jeff Zerker, at the age of 26, came running down, pounding good. We're huddled up again. And that'll push Louisville back. On these 3 touchdown passes from Tim Couch, well, this one took 2 plays. The one before took 1 play. And his first touchdown toss of the afternoon, just 3 snaps, all under a minute.
This is the BYU offense. Hal Mumme and his staff went to Lavelle Edwards and Hal for years to look at film, talk with Lavelle and his staff at BYU. Then he and his staff added a few extra wrinkles to it, but this is essentially BYU's offense. As I think back on those days, I played center on the varsity for 4 years with Jim McMahon, with Steve Young. One of those years, our average touchdown drive was about 1.5 minutes, and Couch is bettering that today.
Now can John L. Smith's offense go to work? Again, backed up to the 11, play action for him, and he'll try it for Jackson. Well covered, nearly intercepted, and Jackson becomes a defender on the play. Eric Kellen on the corner, out on the island, did a nice job. Hey, it's Hardcore Football on Fox Sports Net. What a trio. Ronnie Lott, Bill Moss, and Ron Pitts, bringing you turf talk from the tough guys in the NFL. X's and O's, blood, sweat, and cheers. Hardcore football for the hardcore fan. Tuesdays at 8 on Fox Sports Net. Didn't we see Bill Moss rip his arm off?
That wasn't a prosthetic arm. That was a real arm. These guys are tough.
Bill Moss is a tough guy.
He played nose guard, defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. I had to play against him. I used to be 6'7", Paul, but now I'm about 6'4", because of Bill Moss. I had to call him up and I don't know what I'd tell him. I'd be afraid to.
They're all pumped up for tomorrow. The National Football League getting underway. Coast to coast. Conference USA and the SEC today. That means Mumme's in town to face Louisville.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains 2nd down.
Now, if you're John Smith, you want to burn some clock here. Worst thing you can do, and he trails by 2 touchdowns now, is give the ball right back to the Cats, and it's 2nd and very long. Redman throws short. Did Ivan Green get out of the end zone? It's ruled incomplete. Ivan Green right at the goal line. Very nearly dropped for the sack by Jeff Snedeker, the linebacker.
Snedeker is zeroed in on Ivan Green here. Look at Snedeker. The only guy he's looking is number 6 right there, and he's hoping that he'll catch that ball, because if Snedeker is stalking Green, he sees Green 2 yards deep in that end zone. He's looking for that sack or that safety.
What a number that Snedeker and the Cats have done on Ivan Green. A grand total of 3 receiving yards in the first half. Trouble time now. Redman looks, and the receiver Jackson did not turn in time. He would have been open had he turned earlier, matched up again with Eric Kelly, and now Redman and the Cardinals will have to punt it away.
Paul, that's a function of being Redman and Jackson's first year in this offense. And really, the only real advantage that I see Kentucky and Couch having over the Cardinals and Redman is that this is the 2nd year in the offense for Couch, the 1st year in the offense for Redman and his receivers. The timing will not always be there.
Kentucky should enjoy sterling field position after this punt by Jeremy Borseth. Hey, he's a Green Bay guy, is Borseth. Got to be used to turf like this.
Grew up a Packer fan.
And he hit it off the side of his foot. It lounds, but takes a Louisville roll. A break for the Cardinals across midfield and into Kentucky territory. Now the Cats with the football once again. Mummy ball, establishing 15 records in the SEC, 51. The University of Kentucky. You literally rewrote Kentucky record book. You often hear people say that. the most points since 1950. Paul Bear Bryant was Kentucky's coach in 1950.
And what difference does a year make? The difference in points scored per game is 19 pre and post Mummy from 96 to 97. Over 250 yards per game higher with Mummy and Couch.
As irony would have it, Coach Bryan, they beat Alabama too. There are posters of that win.
Number 32,
the ball
Homer,
popped out
the ball carrier.
after Homer and appeared to be down. A bunch of Cardinal fans saying it belongs to Louisville, and the officials have been talked into it. It is Louisville's ball, the first turnover of the afternoon.
The advantage of having an academically good team like the Cardinals, you get some debate majors down there know how to persuade an official. You get that ball in the bottom of a pile, there's no way to know who's got it, and it might change hands several times before it gets there. This is just Ohio State, Michigan, circa 1975 football in this play. Just pounded up the middle. With that ball being loose like that,
how clearly was he down?
He looked to be down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Clearly down on the play.
But when you look where we are, we're in Louisville. And if the ref isn't sure, he's got to call it for somebody.
The Cardinals now, a couple of yards into Kentucky territory. Quick hitch and batted away. Nice play on the reach around by Eric Kelly, the corner. Kelly from Panama City, Florida. Hurricane Earl roared through his hometown Wednesday night. Very fortunately for the Kelly family, everybody's all right. It was a scary evening, though, and Kelly had to phone home early Thursday to make sure all was right with his mom and family. They're okay, and Kelly now here, his mind back on football, made the nice play.
He did make a nice play. Had his eyes in the backfield, anticipated that coming, batted it away.
Second down. 4 straight incompletions for Redman. The heat's coming. Make it 5. He's worked over again. Marlon McGee, the linebacker, the first of 2 cats to arrive. Matt Leo, 2. The sophomore defensive end, bringing it around the weak side. Now, Anthony Bird, a weak side linebacker, is out on an island by himself from Redman's backside. And
he came
across. Get some pressure.
They want to blitz. I mean, Mike Major told us the other day that he promised me that he would not blitz until after they got off the bus. Well, that's what they're doing now.
Redman, the heat again. He throws it incomplete. Feeling the pressure, Charles Sheffield was one of the red jerseys he saw in a blur. But again, Jacobs and the Wildcat Blue have done a fine job following the turnover.
We're seeing 2 different defensive styles materialize here. Kentucky is blitzing different players from different places to put pressure on Redman, whereas the Cardinal defense has been sort of sitting back and trying to cover against Couch.
5th punt of the afternoon for Borsa, and it's East. East has been interfered with a couple of times. Caught a bunch of passes already. Having a busy day. Tight spiral his way. And it's caught by Roundtree at the 2-yard line. Roundtree catches the punt by Borseth on the fly to pin Kentucky deep.
Well, you've got a guy that's a good enough athlete to move from running back to cornerback. He's going to be one of your top special teams players. Roundtree was last year, continues to be this year.
The Lady Birds celebrating today. National championship pom-pom squad. Roundtree with the gunner, the speed on the outside to get down the field to make the play.
The rule says that if an offensive player isn't trying to field this punt, the defense can catch it just like the offense.
Kentucky with Tim Couch, having displayed his medal. 3 touchdown passes already in the first half. In harm's way now at his own 2-yard line. How do the Cats come off their own goal line? They do so full. Couch dumps it, caught by Whalen, who has a touchdown pass earlier, and he works it out to the 8-yard line. Hey, the video Titanic was released this week. I know you went and purchased yours. On the bow is Tim Couch. Where's Kate Winslet?
You know, the difference is Titanic never made it to New York. Couch is hoping to make it to New York and have that Heisman Trophy in his pocket when he comes back to Kentucky.
He's been a star today, a superstar. Nice toss there. Second down. Yeast on the move. Inside handoff. First down. Big hole, Derek Holder. Out to the 30-yard line. They gashed him off the right side. You have 5 seniors up front for Kentucky. They did their job here.
All this is a huge hole right up the middle. This is 5 seniors on that offensive line taking control. Look at the block of Watts right in the middle, the center. Look at that.
Pancake.
They're just driving people onto the ground. Paul, you talk about the first touchdown in this stadium. That's the first pancake in this stadium.
Gain of 23. Couch dangerous when moving. Runs close to the first down marker. Got about 7. Couch says he's stronger this year. His arm is stronger. And he pumped so much iron that he dropped 10 pounds. He's rock hard.
That's the scary part. I mean, they say that he's better this year than he was last. The primary thing he's better at is throwing the deep ball, but he worked hard all spring, heading into the summer on improving those things, and never takes a play off. Most quarterbacks need to rest. They need to take a drill off or a day off. Couch hasn't taken a day off since Mummy has been here. I've never heard of that.
Now the Cardinals are going to take a timeout. About 10 minutes to go in our first half, and it has been lively in Louisville on Fox Sports Net.
It's nighttime on Sunshine, and UCF is ready to rock and roll this season. Central Florida emerges with Dante Culpepper leading the battle. Louisiana Tech Bulldogs get in the way. Tonight at 7 on Sunshine. Get kicked by the fusion. Attacking the MLS and releasing the speed and energy that creates the power of the fusion. Los Angeles visits Miami Saturday at 7:30 on Sunshine.
It's complete. He's unstoppable.
Gators season kicks off September 5th as the Gators clash with the Citadel live on pay-per-view. The 97 Citrus Bowl champs look to start their season with a win over the Bulldogs. It's the Florida Gators and the Citadel Bulldogs live on pay-per-view Saturday, September 5th at 6 p.m. Don't miss the action. To order, call your local cable operator today.
Here at hole 7 of the Cooper Tire Invitational, a long par 9,000 from Chicago. The green surrounded by water. We talked to our leader about this crucial hole.
Tough hole. I rely a lot on my Cooper tires and my low iron.
Here's some replays of you through the Midwest.
Had a few nice shots here in Missouri.
And then that impressive run down the Gulf Coast. We're live in the Everglades. Arnie lying 8,003.
Find Cooper tires at all Action Gator tire stores in Central Florida.
Just a reminder, coming up in a few minutes on the Marriott Halftime Report, I'll be joined by my partner, Kellen Winslow. We'll have scores and highlights from across the country. Plus, we'll also update the Marist chase. Mark McGuire has done it again. That's all coming up to half. But right now, let's go back to Paul Kennedy and Trevor Maddich in Louisville. Guys.
It's great to have Kellen Winslow alongside Kevin in the studios. We have Darren Horton down on the field. Trevor Maddich alongside. I'm Paul Kennedy. 9 and change remaining in this first half. Tim Couch has been nothing less than sensational. He dumps it again. Whalen is there, and he fights forward. Close to the first down. Looks to have it, but he attracts a lot of attention. John Smith, tough guy, tough defense. Trying to defend that man, and Tim Couch.
You can't give a guy that good with that sophisticated of an offense the same look over and over. He's going to kill you. So we've got to give him different looks. We've got to bring people from different places, not only different coverages, but different stunts, different mixes up front, different ways to try and add pressure to it.
This team mirrors the man and the way they fly to the football. Certainly early in this game, they may not be the most talented collection of college football players, but they have a lot of heart on display today in this historic afternoon. Couch too high there, a rare incompletion. Can you imagine the emotion that the Louisville players are feeling today? This stadium, for the first time ever, they have an on-campus stadium here. It's $63 million. They have their arch rival in town, a new head coach. They're facing Mummy.
The players are fully aware of the historical nature of this game. and they're also fully aware of the changes in themselves. Paul, you mentioned how tough these guys will play. That's a hallmark of John L. Smith's team. The last play, second to the last play, 10 defensive players were around that football.
Couch, flushed a bit. Again, able to save the play for about 7 yards, sliding at midfield. Jimmy Haley, the tight end. As Louisville saw it today, I guess the biggest key for John Smith, take a look at this, was first of all to keep your feet on the ground with all the emotion that they would be charged with. And then don't give up any cheap touchdowns. I'm afraid they've been burned for 3 of them already.
Yes, they have.
Slipping through the middle, and again right at the stick. Xavier Burrell with the play as Lance Mickelson becomes still another in that wildcat covey to put his hands on the football. 7 different receivers have been on the receiving end of Tim Couch passes, and then you also have Derek Homer hitting home runs for big gainers up the middle. A carry of 23 the last time he toted the ball. Couch, wide open 30. 25 down to the 23-yard line. Evan Coleman in front of Burrell, gets him for 24.
Well, this is a crossing route. Number 20, Bud Herring, is supposed to pick him up, but he falls down. It's coming right at you. You'll see Coleman all by himself, and on the ground, just to your left, that red shirt that hit the ground, that was Bud Herring. He was supposed to follow him all the way across. That's how he got so open.
Couch now at the 300-yard plateau, right on the threshold in the first half. And marching the cat on the draw, Homer. Homer hammered. First man to get there was Rashad Harris, number 52, the linebacker. He bent the play back on Homer. Homer with a great day to conclude last season. The regular season finale for Kentucky. He torched the University of Tennessee Volunteers for $130, 137 yards on the ground.
And that's a good defense down there. That's why you've got all these great receivers and quarterbacks that get all the press, but you've got some running backs on this Kentucky team that can hurt you just as badly.
2 backs there now, and now out in the pattern for Couch. Dancing, waiting, looking toward the end zone, waiting a right-handed grab for a touchdown. Haley with the one-handed grab for 6. Right-handed grab. The one-armed man at the goal line, Jimmy Haley.
Extra point is good.
And the extra point is good. Haley with the touchdown reception to go along with James Whalen, Jermaine White, Quentin McCoy.
Well, Ivan Green finished the season as the #1 receiving tight end in football last year. However, Haley started the first 4 weeks of the season as the #1 guy before he went down with a foot injury. This guy can catch the ball just as well.
31-10. 4 mummy ball touchdown passes and an early field goal.
All right, now take a look at this protection. 5 seniors protecting their quarterback. Look at these guys right here. Now look how long Couch has to throw. Usually that ball's got to be gone in less than 3 seconds. It's still time. There's still time. There's still time. And finally, he sees Dennis coming his way and releases the ball, but he must have 7-8 seconds to throw that football.
Right at the goal line, Mickelson was there as well. And Haley, the junior from Lowell, Massachusetts.
Paul, with protection like that, that's going to put... With protection like that, he's got to bring his offensive line with him to New York for that Heisman ceremony.
Well, don't get ahead of ourselves today. We have tonight, Brock Hewitt of Washington will be on display. Some great talent.
But he'll be there.
The short kick. Running up. Cooper. Loose ball. That's a live ball, of course. And it's Louisville. Cardinal fans can take a deep breath. Sheffield all over that ball. As the Cards need to sustain. They were in this game leading 7-3. And then 4 straight strikes.
Well, now it's a matter of mental toughness for them. Their whole off-season program, conditioning and otherwise, has been geared towards making them mentally tough. Now's the time when it needs to manifest itself.
Redman back under center on first down. And on the move. Downfield for Jackson, and in and out of the hands of freshman David Johnson in his very first college game at the age of 18. The Virginian with a nice play. It's a guy that sent out tapes to schools because no one was recruiting him. Kentucky looked at his tape, and Hal Mumme said he picked up the phone and offered him a scholarship on the spot.
And he had a fabulous spring and summer camp. This guy, they were excited to see what he was going to do in a game situation because he did every single thing they asked of him during camp.
Number 7, incomplete in his last 7 passing attempts. Elects to keep this one on the ground, and Raphael Cooper has a first down. All the way out to the 45-yard line on his first run from scrimmage for the senior from Detroit.
This is just a simple zone blocking play. Very basic. Cooper's just going to come to this side, and they're going to match up on the blockers. But this is the kind of play, the kind of running back that we talked about earlier, Paul, when we said Frank Moreau's a banger. Cooper is one of the guys with speed. Right now, the Cardinals need big plays. They've got one of their speed running backs in the backfield in Cooper.
First down now near midfield. Play action. Redman, Lavelle Boyd, and nearly intercepted. Jeremy Boyd was there. Redman, of course, honored today that a Louisville great is on the sideline with Durham.
Yeah, you know, Redman's doing a good job today. Tim Couch putting on a show, and this man put on a show in his day. Johnny Unitas, congratulations on this great honor, this statue erected in your honor today. How gratifying is for you?
Well, to come back here to see this edifice that's been built for the University of Louisville is fantastic. When I was playing here, of course, was in the dark ages. Never thought this would ever take place. But thank God for the people of Louisville and the people who had the money to back it and put it here on where it is right now. And it's going to help the program tremendously.
Your thoughts on these 2 quarterbacks that we're seeing today?
Both of them are great kids. Both of them have come through the Frank Camp school here with both great athletes and doing a great job. Couch seems to be doing real well. Mr. Redman hasn't been doing that good so far, but we hopefully has second half coming up.
Johnny Unitas, thank you for taking the time to join us, and congratulations. The only number in the history of Louisville football that is retired, the number 16 of Johnny Unitas.
All right, Darren. Still the class of the Johnny Unitas, who went on to don 19, of course, in his NFL Hall of Fame career. The snare here, a rare opportunity for Ivan Green to handle the ball.
Ivan Green has been dogged by Snedeker, and that time he was again. It was 3rd and about 13, and Snedeker stopped him short of that first down. As soon as he caught that ball, number 17 was all over him.
Redman just 1 for his last 8 to the air, and thus the punt. Forsyth, former all-conference honoree, sends it down to the 20, bounds around to the 8-yard line, and there it will draw a whistle. Just over 5 minutes remaining in an eventful first half. Tim Couch with 4 touchdown passes, and Redman with 1. Replay here at Cardinal Stadium, filled to the brim. A sea of blue, a sea of red. And the twin spires of Churchill Downs just across the street. A busy day today. Coming up next, the Big Ten, the Pac-10. The Fighting Illini in Pullman to take on Washington State. Then a Pac-10 duel in the desert. Brock Huard against J.R. Redman and those Sun Devils. Check your local listing for the game in your area. Is there life after Leaf for the Cougars? We're going to find out this afternoon. Homer upended. Mike Gantos hitting him first. Our degree first half game summary, and Johnny Unitas was right. Oh, Johnny, the better half has belonged to the man from Hardin, Kentucky, population 350. Tim Couch.
The difference here is the time, the protection. Redman has been harassed this entire half. Couch has had to be bored back there. He's had so much time to throw.
Oh, Hardin must be proud today. Leslie County's best. Yeast. Don Bibb, a sure tackle, and now a flag.
Pass complete to Yeast.
Flag for excessive contact after the first down gain.
Well, that's just frustration on the Louisville defense's part. Paul, they didn't need to run that play. Here, when you roll out the quarterback very often, what you're trying to do is create problems for the pass rush. You're trying to give the pass rush a different look so they can't zero in on the pocket. And so I think they're doing this for the rest of the Southeastern Conference. Now look at the pad that these defensive backs are giving these wide receivers. This is one of the reasons that they're open for the short passes, the short crossing routes. There's so much room in there. The reason that they're doing this is because they got burned by the long pass so many times, they're going to give up the shorter passes and make Kentucky earn their way down the field. Hopefully they'll make a mistake rather than just one long score.
Out of the gun again. Got sidelines. Good adjustment by McCord, but it's thrown much too far.
Pass intended for number 25.
Man in the baseball hat right behind Hal Mumme. Mike Leach, the offensive coordinator, like yourself, Trevor, a graduate of Brigham Young and also a law school graduate out of Pepperdine.
He calls himself a reformed lawyer. And that reformed lawyer actually has put together quite a passing camp tape. He's put together a training tape that you and I both looked at. Looked exactly like what we saw at BYU. A very valuable tool.
And his keys today, two of them. Number one, give Couch the ball. And number two was asking to throw it. And that creates opportunity for the likes of Anthony White on the loose to the 20-yard line. 40 more. And a gaping hole for the junior from Twinsbury, Ohio. White is primarily a receiver. How dangerous does it make him now when he comes with the ball in his hands on the ground?
This offensive line is dominant. Look at this hole. Now it closes, but it is gargantuan before it closes. White has the burst to get up through it. But this is part of the problem of facing this Kentucky offense. Where do you stop them? There's no place that you can focus on. Now look at these senior offensive linemen, all five guys, come off with their pads down, drive that Cardinal defense off the ball.
At the 20-yard line, Couch, the quick slant, in and out of the hands and very nearly back into the diving mitts of Gary Davis.
And Paul, that offensive line has an offensive line coach that really knows what he's doing. Guy Morris, I played with for the New England Patriots. He played center and guard for us up there during part of the time I was there. And Guy is one of the best teachers of technique. Every single one of these starting seniors are guys that have learned a tremendous amount of how to play the game from Guy Morris, and it's showing up in the protections and in the holes that they're opening up.
The second down snap. He unloads and crack, holding onto the football, James Whalen. Yeah, I've got it, he says, despite the fact that Harris let him have it. It was a shot that resounded around Cardinal Stadium.
Well, how frustrated can you be if you're a Cardinal pass rusher? Take a listen to this hit. Harris just puts his helmet right on Whalen's helmet. There's some flying around going on down there.
Whalen's been a big part of the offense today. 5 receptions and a touchdown catch on a gallop of 56. And now the tap ball incomplete, and here comes the kicking unit onto the field.
Well, this is a sigh of relief. If all they do is get a field goal, you've got to give that defense a lot of credit because they haven't done much to slow down Couch and company so far this half.
Seth Hansen kicked 4 field goals in 11 games last year. He's about to get 2 here in the first half of opening day. This from 32. His first effort was a 42. Had plenty of leg to it. And he knocks it home. Kentucky continuing to roll. All phases of the game offensively in sync and leading now 34-10. Coming up at halftime on our Marriott halftime report, Kevin, Kellen, scores and highlights on a very busy day of college football. This, of course, the first of 3 here on Fox Sports Net. Mark McGuire knocks one out at home. His 60th. How's Darren faring down on the field?
Well, behind me is the Louisville Medical Center. Up to 60 people have been treated for heat exhaustion. They're in the triage unit. They say the temperatures on the field have gone upwards of 95 degrees.
Yeah, Darren, it has to be much hotter in the stands here, too, today.
And you can see it on crowd. You can see it on Darren's face. That guy's sweating like he's playing. The first day of camp for the Louisville Cardinals this summer, they had 17 guys after practice have IVs. And that's intentional. This has been the hardest this university has ever conditioned. Part of the reason for that, hallmark of John L. Smith's teams, they will hustle to the ball. They will outwork you all the way through the end of the 4th quarter. And so as this heat continues on, Louisville's got to find a way to stay close so that their better conditioning will be a factor in the 4th quarter. If they can't catch up, then there's no way it'll matter.
It'll take a big second half to do that. For all this talk and concern about Kentucky not doing a great deal of hitting, hardly any in fall camp, just going out in helmets, shirts, and shorts. They have taken it to Louisville and are much the stronger at the moment. And again, Raphael Cooper out to the 20, and then he goes to the turf. He's lowered his head.
He saw a sea of blue and white. And he knew his journey was over. Now, if I'm John L. Smith and the Cardinal offense, the thing I want to do right now is go right back to the basics of the offense.
Our vantage point today in this multi-million-dollar stadium. Those are skyboxes below. You see the plate glass windows. VIPs spending tens of thousands of dollars to decorate it. Redman throwing for his life, throws it right into the hands of Jeremy Bowie, the corner. The big heat was coming, and it forces the interception.
Well, Kentucky that time stacked their blitz on the inside. The offensive line squeezed down to pick it up. Someone was supposed to block that guy coming off the right edge. Nobody did. If you look to the left side of your screen,
Marvin Major.
There he comes. Big Major, number 98, and he's untouched. See, that's a problem. If you block a guy and get beat, that's one thing. But if you just miss the assignment, that's unacceptable. And what a great pick. Great concentration there. Just like that touchdown catch that Haley had. That's the tip drill. Great concentration by Bowie.
Couch has already thrown for 322 yards in this football game. The 10th time in his career that he's done that, and he tries to look for Mickelson, and Dinkins says, if you turn your head, I'll be there. Looking to line him up and drill him.
You got to take your shot when you have the chance. Too often these defensive backs have been trying to chase those little receivers running around with the football and haven't even caught him. So you have a chance to take a shot. You got to take it.
Dinkins, an all-conference performer, Conference USA. Rugged football player. We near the end of the first half. Now, against the blitz. Plus, finds a receiver, and Robinson still on his feet at the 20. Works his way to the 16-yard line. Another big target from Stone Mountain, Georgia, and Jimmy Robinson. His first reception today, the 8th different receiver.
Well, the Cardinals come after him. Here comes Herring, unblocked, right up the middle, right here. Couch is able to find Robinson coming across on the crossing route. And again, that's a function of the Cardinals being in the first year of a very complex defensive set. They've got to all be on the same page, and that's hard to do with so many receivers running so many different ways.
Couch. Inside the 20 down. Brings Jermaine White in motion. Steps around the pressure. Gantos throws on the run, and you the 5th touchdown pass of the first half. That's right, 5 from Tim Couch. to who was supposed to be his top target in Craig Yeast. All 5 touchdowns have come to different receivers. Yeast with his first of the season, and Couches up on the bleacher steps, cheering on the crowd.
We mentioned the training tape of offensive coordinator Mike Leach. It includes this drill. Mike Gantos is going to come across this side, put the pressure on Couch. They practice this in a drill every day in practice. Couch ducks underneath and runs right back out to where he was. That's not just an ad lib by Couch, that's a practice drill. And that'll probably be in next year's training tape. Couch starts out looking to his right. He'll come back and he'll see Yeast on the crossing route and deliver the ball. But once again, he's got some pressure there, but it's still good time, good protection, and these crossing routes, Paul, are being completed on the far side of the field from where the receiver started. When that happens, that means there is not enough pressure on that quarterback.
Tim Couch, 5 touchdown passes in the first half. He led the nation last year in completions and attempts, in yards, second in touchdowns. Look at this. Does he like to throw the ball? Well, as Tim says it best, there's a cat-like crane. There's something else. Antonio Roundtree puts on the brakes at the 17 and draws all sorts of attention. Grant down there hustling too on special teams. You know, Tim Couch in the 8th grade, just a pup. Clem Haskins, who used to be the head basketball coach at Western Kentucky, now at Minnesota, sent him a letter recruiting him in the 8th grade, and the legend was born.
Look at that guy. He looks like a man. He looks like he's been in the NFL for about 5 years. Look at that face. Compare that face with the face on Johnny Unitas' statue. It's got some character in it.
A lot of character. His teammates talk about his toughness. Ivan Green out to the 33-yard line. Take a look at Couch's numbers from a year ago and what is expected of him this season. See the ranks throughout all of college football in the 112 Division I schools. Those 51 school records. He has 9 starters back. One of the great passers in the history of the college game. Jackson was on one knee. He snared that. Arnold Jackson gave Louisville some early hope. He went 65 yards.
Arnold Jackson,
vertical from Redmond.
He'll have a big year this year. He's a lot like Yeast. He's got the same body type and the same kind of quicks.
On second down, here is Redmond. A quick drop and throws, and Ivan Green a second time. They go right back to it. Lee Wesley, junior linebacker, rolled him down as Louisville now goes with the no huddle in the waning moments of the first half. A lot for Kevin and Kellen to talk about. Highlights here. 5 Couch touchdown passes, and we got 1-2 from Redmond. Off the drop. Upstairs, and putting out of bounds. Incomplete. Good defensive play by Eric Kelly, the corner, to keep the intended target on his hip and ridden out of bounds. That was Charles Sheffield. It's not for a game, it's for less than 2 quarters of play. Just 8 incomplete passes.
And it's against a defense that has much better personnel than those numbers show. This Louisville Cardinal defense has some good athletes, some good players on it. The problem is Couch has been able to exploit 2 things so far. One, they have not been able to find a way to get pressure on Couch. The second thing is that they're new in a system that's kind of complex, and some of those receivers have been able to break open after all that time.
15 yards, previous spot, first down.
They're going to get Eric Kelly, 4 pass interference. Back to Couch. Only twice last year did he throw 5 or more touchdown passes. One of his better days. First time at the expense of Indiana in a blowout win, and the second against overmatched Northeast Louisiana.
Well, the refs are having a powwow about something down there.
Officials timeout.
Well, the call was pass interference on Eric Kelly, defending Charles Sheffield, probably wanting to know where to mark this ball. In college football, pass interference requires a 15-yard march-off in most circumstances. John L. Smith taking on Couch for the first time this year. And you see the change in offense. A wide open Hal Mummy approach to things and the numbers it produced. And in all fairness to Bill Curry, Couch, of course, was a freshman there.
And in 1996, they had an option-style offense.
Therefore, the pass interference is negated. Second down.
In 96, that offense wasn't this kind of wide-open passing game. It was more of an option. It was a terrible misuse of a guy of the skills of Tim Couch.
The ball was ruled not catchable. So disregard the flag. They'll run the screen to the near side, and that is going absolutely nowhere.
Pass complete to number 32, Frank Moreau.
Frank Moreau had to work just to get back within a yard of the line of scrimmage. Where's Moreau been today? Very quiet day, just 3 carries for Frank Moreau. The game plan coming in here, and Louisville's gotten away from it, perhaps because of the Air Raid 98 on display by Couch, which to pound the ball a bit with Moreau.
That's what they wanted to do, but they also knew that it would be dictated by what Kentucky did. If Kentucky stacked the line of scrimmage with 7 guys, if they blitzed a lot, then they'd have to run, or check that, they'd have to pass. If they dropped back, had 5 or 6 guys in the box into a pass defense, they were going to run. But what Kentucky's done, Paul, is put 7 guys in the box and blitz like crazy. That would then dictate to John L. Smith, he's got to throw the football. That's why the running backs have disappeared in the rushing game.
Hey, next week on Baseball Thursday, history beckoning another Cardinal. Big Mac closing in on immortality. Don't miss a single historic at-bat. McGuire in the card to take on the Reds, and Sammy Sosa chasing the ghost of greatness as the Cubbies fight for the wild card berth as the Bucks visits Wrigley. Fox Sports tomorrow. Of course, Cincinnati at St. Louis. Does number 61 come tomorrow to tie Roger Maris? If not, 62. 4 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Get a little NFL on opening day. And then you get McGuire, and tomorrow it may happen on a Sunday. And you can say you were there on Fox. Redman throws for Green just off his fingertips. He had the spread on Snedeker, and it was just overthrown.
Pressure came from Matt Leo. He's only 238 pounds. He's the smallest defensive lineman on either team. But he's a guy that can penetrate. He's a smart guy, and that's why he's in there. Again, Redman just gets nailed. That's why this pass is not accurate, because his man, Ivan Green, is open.
Morrison. Ball wobbles. Yeast content to make the fair catch, which he does at the 17-yard line. 46 seconds away from intermission today. Yeast is a triple threat, owns a touchdown today, 1 of 5 thrown by Couch. And who's not to say that this capacity crowd of better than 42,000, first game ever to be played here at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium, will not see the 6th touchdown pass of the half by Couch. Got all sorts of time. 46 seconds to him.
He threw several where the scoring drive was as fast as his receiver could catch the ball and run the rest of the way into the end zone. That was the entire drive. Could happen again here.
Now the ball is spotted. The chains are set, and we're ready to go. Guys may want to just take it to the house here. Derek Homer gets that clock rolling again. And now with the flag thrown, it is stopped.
Jimmy Dean, please report to the Johnny Unitas statue area. Thank you.
Again, Steve Newman, our referee, out of the Big Ten. This will be the last year that a neutral conference works the Louisville and Kentucky game. From now on, the visiting team will bring officials from their conference. So when Louisville goes to Commonwealth next season, expanded Commonwealth, by the way, Conference USA officials will go with them.
These officials holding on the offense.
After this to the goal, remains first down.
Paul, these officials need to be in shape as well. They run up and down the field, especially the side judges, the guys on the sidelines. They chase those receivers on all those routes, and when they've got a game like this where both quarterbacks are airing it out, those receivers, or the officials running up and down the sidelines are getting a lot of work in.
Couch on a record-setting day. A new Kentucky mark, 5 touchdown passes in a first half, and thus the 41-10 score with a couple of Seth Hansen field goals. So now Couch may take timeout. Burns one here with 15 seconds remaining as we head toward halftime.
Now you're John L. Smith. What do you tell your team? Down 41-10, not being able to stop anything that Kentucky is doing, and not being able to pressure Couch, not being able to protect your own quarterback enough that his skills can be unleashed. What do you tell him?
Well, if I'm John Smith, I tell you to play every play as if nothing has happened before and try and get better. He's in his first year here, his first game, but he inherits a team that won, count them, 1 football game last year. This was a 1-10 team. He has moved players all over the field, put Mike Gantos there into a new position. Mike Gantos, by the way, look at this. This guy's already been to the Pro Bowl. Age of 9.
Well, he was the Cleveland Browns mascot of the year. There's Mike getting telestrated at the age of 9.
He's brought into the program here. He was 318 pounds at the conclusion of last year's disastrous season. He tips it now at 285.
And he's stronger than he was then.
That'll be it for Couch. Let's get to the air-conditioned dressing room. In a commanding position as he pumps the fist. Record-setting for Couch today. The pride of Hayden, Kentucky. 5 separate touchdown passes, and his team lead in kickoff 98, 41-10 at Cardinals Stadium. And now out to Los Angeles at our Fox Sports Net studios. Here's Kevin and Kellen.
Thanks a lot, guys, and indeed.
Cup here. We're at the halftime, and Governor Paul Patton may want to give Louisville a reprieve. Tim Couch with a record-setting 5 first-half touchdown passes. It's 41-10, and Couch picks up this year, Trevor, where he left off, 360 yards passing.
You know, the crazy thing, if you look at Louisville's total yards and passing yards, that's good for a first half. Not when you stack it up against what Couch has done, which is absolutely spectacular.
Talking about basketball, almost enough points for Tubby Smith to appreciate this.
It's
the
like
head coach of the reigning NCAA champs.
I remember those BYU days running the same offense. We'd score 70 points in a game.
This is the most points between two teams in the history of this series, 41-10, and I think the key to this has been the protection up front.
Protection has been everything. Take a look at the time that Couch has to throw here. 7 seconds will go by before anybody in a red jersey even gets remotely close to him. Now look, there's nobody. And how could he not have receivers come open when things like that happen? Now finally, here comes Dennis. Now conversely, Kentucky has had a big problem protecting. Here's the pocket, but look what happens when linebacker McCree comes in completely unblocked, and Redman has not had the same luxury that Tim Couch has had to have the time to throw. Redman has got the same kind of ability to make those throws, but if you don't give him time, you're going to have a score as lopsided as this.
Two halves of football remaining. Chris Redman back on the square off against Tim Couch, and down in the middle of the mix, Darren Horton, who has talked to both coaches, I believe, Darren.
Talked to John Smith. He said this game is not over. He wants them to execute better in the second half. He still thinks this game is within reach. Talked to Hal Mummy. He says we're going to continue to do the things that we did in the first half, but if the score continues to grow, he will put in some of the younger kids in the fourth quarter. Now, I asked him, what about Tim Couch in this Heisman race? Do you want to pad those stats? He said, absolutely not.
A great point there, Darren. The backup quarterback, if you're interested, to Tim Couch would be a fellow by the name of Matt Mummy. And, of course, John L. Smith hoping to force Tim Couch to have to remain in the game. He's got to get going. He came in here advertised from his days at both Idaho and at Utah State. In 9 previous seasons is fielding wide open offenses. We have seen a glimpse of that today. Chris Redman going upstairs to Arnold Jackson for the touchdown strike. But the Cards, ducked out in red today, will have to give Tim Couch a shot at the football first.
Now, what do you do? What do you do if you're Louisville? You do the thing that you didn't do in the first half offensively. You find a way to protect the quarterback. You reset your offensive line, go over those protection schemes again at halftime, and you move the quarterback a bit. You do some rollouts. You do a little more play action. Even though they haven't run the ball well, at least give those pass rushers of Kentucky something to look at.
John Hilbert with the ball cocked on the tee at the 40-yard line.
For UK.
And he hit that one on the screws again. So Kentucky begins at its own 20-yard line as Craig Yeast fields the football. And it will be Tim Couch and those 5 touchdown passes looking to build upon it. Well, week number 1 here for Tim. You couldn't ask for a better start.
He's had a pretty good month today, Paul.
5 different touchdown passes to 5 different receivers. It is a Kentucky school record, the 360 yards passing for a half, and the TDs as well. And we'll remind you, he has only thrown more than 5 in a game twice last year, and that came amidst a sea of blue records for him. The center remains Jason Watts, 5 seniors up front, and now a lead blocker for him, and they'll bang it out of there on first down, and it's Derek Homer who turns the corner. And that's a first down. With this pass-happy Kentucky Wildcat offense to be a running back in the backfield, and in this case, Homer, we have a injured Cardinal down there. Easy to get overlooked, but Homer can play this game.
Well, run with Homer. You'll see there's a bunch of people there, but his blockers do a good job of allowing him to attain that corner, and when he turns it up, there's nobody but a bunch of little DBs to come up and make that tackle, so the pursuit has to catch him all the way over on the sideline.
Bud Herring, the flex man, went up to make the tackle. And it's Xavier Burrell, it appears, being attended to by the medical staff.
Well, Burrell had an injury in week 10 of last season. He's been recovering from that. He's a big safety. He's 6'1", 210, just a sophomore, learning to play a physical game. He's got a tool with his body, the size and the speed that he has to be able to be a real physical force in the secondary. Young enough that he's learning how to do that, and once he does, the Conference USA receivers are going to have to think twice about coming across that middle. This guy, one of their better athletes in that backfield. The Cardinals hope he can get back today.
He was a quarterback when he played high school ball in Germany. Father is in the service. He's all Europe. You know something about being all Europe, having been over there with the NFL?
A couple of months over there with NFL Europe this spring.
First down after the gain of 15. They throw the quick hitch in the flat, and Yeast with those quick feet darts out to midfield. Down the sideline, and is shoved out of bounds by Bud Herring. That is a 1-yard slip screen that results in a ramble of 34. And it's the quickness off the line of scrimmage.
Look at the space.
Him free.
Look at all that space there. This is a quick screen. He just steps up. Here comes the offensive line to block, and he splits 2 guys right there. 52, that's their middle linebacker, Harris. He breaks a tackle from them, and it's Bud Herring that has to force him out of bounds over there. A little guy like that will very rarely be able to break a tackle from a linebacker like that.
Big day for Yeast. Over 100 yards. And receiving 6 receptions. Couch to the flat again. Snared by Yeast, replacement Gary Davis. And that is good for 8. The former walk-on, Gary Davis, who earned a scholarship from Hal Mumme. His second reception of the day. Had 5 all of last year. He's earned some playing time, and it must be tough to earn footballs here on this field with all the talent they have.
And Paul, look at all those red jerseys in the box. Once again, they're manned up there one-on-one. Holman is out there giving a lot of cushion. Defensive philosophy seems to be coming into the second half. Let him have those short passes. Don't let him run free after they catch him.
Couch now over 400 yards passing. The deep handoff to Derek Homer, who lowers his head and earns the first. Must be like being on the big screen with, say, Cameron Diaz. Nobody notices you're there when you're homered. But he's had a good day, solid day.
Look at the block that number 35, A.J. Simon right there, throws on number 19, Dinkins. Boom! There's Dinkins on the ground. And so you wonder why Homer has that corner. Dinkins, number 19, had contained. When he's on the ground with that block by Simon, can't do it.
Kentucky pushing Louisville down the field. And Homer works it inside.
And Paul, Hal Mumme right now is gone conservative with his offense. Even though they've driven the ball the length of the field here in this opening drive, they no longer have that 3 wide receiver set on the field. Most of this drive has been 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. And this might be terrible for this team.
Derek Homer shaken up on the play, quickly back to his feet, and he has a chance today, amidst all these Tim Couch passing records, to put together a 100-yard rushing performance.
And wouldn't that be odd if he was able to do that? Right now he's fighting the trainers, though, and now the head coach has to come out there to help get him off the field because he doesn't want to leave the field.
Not when you're close to 100. You see his day today. From Fort Knox, Kentucky, a sophomore who packs better than 200 pounds on that frame. If Kentucky throughout the year, they get into the Southeastern Conference portion of the schedule, can develop a true ground game, how effective
Second down
that makes
and
it
8.
go. Second and 8. Nicholson on the slide. Corner route. Yeesh. Touchdown. The 6th for Couch, the 2nd for Yeesh. Kentucky fans haven't been in their seats very long on this warm day today in Louisville.
Well, every point to them is delicious here at their arch rivals cross state, Louisville.
He's snaring. The touchdown pass, the extra point. Hanson's had a very big day. And it's all big blue on a sunny afternoon on the banks of the Ohio. Was looking for Craig Yeast all the way, and it results in his 6th touchdown pass of the day.
Well, look at the strategy. You've got 1, 2, 3 guys right here, 7 guys in blue to block. There should be more support back there. So Couch has forever to sit back and throw the ball, but the support is not there because Roundtree is giving Yeast a ton of space over there. Now, take a look at that. And he's on the 5-yard line right there, and yet there's nobody over to help him, even though there's only 3 guys in the rush picture.
They backpedaled him right into the end zone, and Yeast dives for the score. And here's Roundtree, right around him. It's into the end zone. So it takes a half dozen plays over 80 yards on our Buick scoring drive for Couch to reach the half dozen mark. And you can see only a performance in the early part of last season in September of '97 topped this one when he threw 7 touchdown passes.
We've only got 2 minutes gone in the first half as well. It's just a matter of whether or not Hal Mumme will allow his quarterback on the field long enough to get that record. If he does, he's got it.
Now Chris Redman, who touches the ball for the first time in the second half and owns 1 touchdown pass today. Keep it on the ground. Returning lanes of Raphael Cooper. A senior who served a suspension cost him all of last year. Now back in the good graces of the university and the staff academically. And he returns to gather here a gain of 6, the Detroit native.
Well, now they've got to establish something positive here. Before they can think about coming back, they've got to put together a couple of first downs.
At 9 there. Cooper hitting the backfield, spins out.
Cooper again, the ball carrier.
Anthony Bird, the tackle on that side, offensively, was just driven right back into his ball carrier, right into the ball carrier in Cooper's Kentucky comes off the line of scrimmage.
Anthony Bird is a pass blocking specialist. You'll see through the rest of this game, the Cardinals flop their offensive line strong to weak side to always keep number 65 Bird to the open side because he's the best on this team at protecting the open side, meaning no tight end there.
Need a couple of yards on third down. They go airborne to get it and do. And the first down catch takes him out to the 35 by Lavelle Boyd. Boyd with just his second reception today as Redman connects to the young junior.
Paul, you know why they ran the ball the first 2 plays of that series? The pass rush. They've got to do something to slow down that pass rush.
You do the math.
That's a minute and something. That's better than we did at BYU that year with Steve Young.
BYU here, BYU there.
Same offense. Awesome quarterback. Great group of receivers. It's the same colors, Paul. Just put a Y up on those uniforms, and you've got that Air Young.
A lot of similarities, of course, and Hal Mumme studying Lavelle Edwards in the ultra-successful Cougar attack out west. That was against Kentucky. On the other side of the football, how tough has this been on Mike Major and the Kentucky Wildcat defensive staff? Give them their props for what they have done, for they had to go back and find Utah State film and Seattle Seahawk film for Dennis Erickson and John Smith have been on the same staff to try and scout what John Smith might bring offensively to this party. They had very little to go on except Smith's track record at another school with different personnel. Off the left side now, Cooper high stepping, sheds the tackler. A flag is thrown in though behind the play, and Cooper's gain out to midfield may be brought back on a holding call, and indeed it will. So holding on the part of Louisville. Cooper though has a bit of spunk to him, doesn't he? A spurt to get free.
Paul, you talk about that defense and the preparation of the defensive staff. I was in their complex a couple of days ago watching practice in some of their meeting rooms. There were hundreds of charted plays of Utah State. Mike Major and his defensive staff, they went back to 1993 to Idaho to find plays that John L. Smith ran so that they could have such a great improvement over last year in this game.
Bit of improvement here. Field position. Jackson just shy of the 40-yard line. With so many wild kittens, as they've been called at Kentucky. Youngsters marking their very first start. That doesn't include Jeff Snedeker there, the junior. Linebacker healthy once again. You see he's looking down at his wrist. Every defensive player has a wristband that has the formation and the coverage. That's how the formation coverage is signaled into.
They just signal in a number. They look at that wristband to see what to do.
They pick up the blitz, does Louisville, and the pass is caught by Lavelle Boyd. A flag thrown in late too, as he draws a hand. Appreciation from the crowd fighting his way to the 42.
And Paul, there are two reasons to salute this Kentucky defensive staff. One is their preparation. The other, though, is recruiting, because they brought in a bunch of guys that didn't have a lot of experience, but that were very, very, very fast. These guys can run, and today that speed has stifled this offense.
On the defense, 5 yards from the end of the run, 1st and 10.
You tack that on 5 more as Lavelle Boyd snares it.
Well, they've got rodeos out here in Kentucky, Paul. That was just riding the bronc right there.
Nice shot there from the top of Cardinal Stadium today. Filled to the brim, 42,000 on hand. First game ever in this stadium. Cooper hurdles again for a yard.
Massey on the tackle for UK.
It means so much to this Louisville program to have Kentucky, win or lose, come here and play them. Kentucky only agreed to start playing Louisville again when C.M. Newton became the athletic director there, and the series renewed just in 1994 after a hiatus of close to 8 decades. But to have the Cats here in their own backyard, what this will mean to the future of these two universities is rather significant. Boy, down to the 28. They'll be playing home and home from here on, these two will. Cards next year in Commonwealth. And they played today for the traveling trophy, the Governor's Cup, instituted when this series was renewed. Getting a little chippy down on the field. Now a lot of flags here in this possession for Louisville. Didn't play for 6 decades.
And now this brand new stadium, it really is an awesome stadium, Paul, has brought the Wildcats back.
Bigger is not necessarily better. This is front page news throughout the state of Kentucky, and you can see some of the vistas, including that one. Very impressive.
So how about this? They've mounted a drive. This is what we said at the beginning of this half, Paul. They needed to put together a couple of first downs.
Continue to work here. Leroy Collins. And Collins in his very first game in a red jersey from Hudson, New York on the carry. The former junior college All-American who had a fabulous JUCO career before arriving here. Came out of Alfred State in New York. He is the very first player from that JC to sign with a Division I team. And he'll carry it again. Cuts back, lowers his head to the 2.
Paul, look at the speed that he brings, the burst that Collins brings. Collins is the fastest of all their running backs. He runs in the 4.4s in the 40-yard dash. And this is a guy that they want to get in there again, because if he breaks it, he can break it for a long ways. But it also shows in his ability to cut back and get up into small holes.
So Kentucky digs in. It's 1st and goal. Hurdling. Is he across the plane? From that left foot spot. But by the spread of that official's foot. Line judge there says, no, he is not in. It is 2nd and goal. You couldn't slip a credit card between the nose of the football and the white chalk, could you?
No, that's about as close as you can get. I mean, that's like what the 2-inch line. Oh, look what he did! Touchdown!
Right across the end zone.
Every good center does that. You always come up and give yourself an extra foot.
Well, they always let you do
if
that.
The goal line
you were a center.
Yeah, no, look, if we've got like 4th and a foot, you always, in the middle of the field, you always stick it up there about 6 inches. You only need to go 6 inches now. But when you're on the goal line, you can't get away with it. You can't start the ball from the end zone, the play.
An illegal snap on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Well, that wasn't an illegal snap, you know, but all he's going to do is what centers always do, stick the ball up ahead. That's the only place on the field the ref won't let him get away with it. You can't start a play with the line of scrimmage in your own end zone, in the opponent's end zone.
Bootleg now for Redman. Ivan Green makes the catch. Ivan Green is in for the end zone. Stuck the ball over the chalk. It's a touchdown for Green.
And that's a heads-up play by Green. It doesn't matter where his body is, matters where that ball is.
Ivan Green finally free. He has had to labor to get free today. He's been held in check by linebacker Jeff Snedeker and that Wildcat defensive unit. But finally the man for the Cardinals can play their fight on.
Well, this is something that they want to build on. This is going to be one of their key matchups over the course of this season. Redman to Green, Redman to Green. And the more they can build on that in this game, they'll be able to take it into the rest of the season.
So an empty backfield, 4 receivers going for 2. In motion, Cooper. Redman pulls it down, floats for the corner. Lavelle Boyd gave chase. And the conversion failed. But Ivan Green from Chris Redman, his 2nd touchdown toss of the afternoon, 48-16. Cardinals Stadium. Capacity crowd on hand. The Battle of the Bluegrass. Kentucky leading Louisville with Trevor Matich and Darren Horton. Down there among them. Lush green carpet. I'm Paul Kennedy. And Louisville following Chris Redman's 2nd touchdown pass of the afternoon. Boots it away. John Hilbert does so. That guy's got a howitzer. for a right leg. When you can do that, you can earn a job. The coaches love it when you put it in the end zone, and we see the longest scoring drive of the afternoon. And Redman to Ivan Green, the tight end.
Redman to Green is going to be a scoring combination all season long. Green just had to find a way to shake himself free of Snedeker. He did on that drive.
If that Cardinal defense can get it going here, those fans in red something more to cheer about.
Well, Paul, what they've been doing this half has been only rushing 3 or 4 guys laying back to try to keep those receivers in front of the defensive backs so as not to give up a big play. Let's see if they keep doing that.
Couch remains in the game, a touchdown pass shy of his career record of 7. He's thrown, count them, 6 today. Inside handoff. Derek Homer. Short gain right up the middle. Tried to catch him in the draw for Homer. And Matt Sexton, the right end, on the stop. That defense that Louisville plays, the Arizona flex, moving some linebackers around and putting people in an opportunity to blitz, put pressure defensively on the quarterback.
And the idea is so they don't have any idea where the blitz will be coming from. However, it hadn't worked this time because all those seniors on the Kentucky offensive line haven't been fooled.
Couch works out of the gun, goes sideline, and it's caught by Yeast, and then he's rolled up by Holman. Holman began to make a move as if to intercept the pass and couldn't close the gap after the ball was in the air.
Holman just impressed me with his athleticism. He tried to go make the interception. He tried to duck in front of Yeast, and he wasn't there in time. Normally when that happens, it's a touchdown the other way for the offense because the defensive guy is now not in position to make the tackle. Holman was able to use his athleticism to get back and make the tackle anyway.
Couch begins to build up numbers that will resemble close to 500 yards. He's got a chance to do that. Inside handoff. On the ground, Anthony White. And White against a fatigued Louisville defense at the midfield. Let's go down to the field. One of the stars, one of the newcomers for Louisville. Just a pup wearing red today, Darren.
Dissolve off him, dissolve off him.
Get back to Darren in just a second. A couple of kids that John L. Smith has brought in here will really make a name for himself this season. Got a freshman that's the National Player of the Year on the defensive side of the ball. It was last year in high school. Playing a promising role. Louisville. Here comes Homer. And Homer's out to the 44, down to the 42-yard line. Homer's had a busy day today now with 77 yards through the air. He's carried the ball a dozen times. They said at the outset they wanted to get him 20 carries. They are right on track here midway through quarter number 3.
Yeah, and last year he averaged about 5.7 yards a carry. He's just bringing that thing right in again. But again, the stars of this game, that offensive line.
A good look at Reggie Hargrove, a junior. Couch. Look at the time he has. Yeast goes vertical, and he just overshoots it. And right around Don Bibb. Right around him at the 20-yard line. Yeast changing his speeds. There's a little out route. Bibb bites. Goodbye. See you later.
That's right. That's what they've been running. They've been setting this play up. They've been running that out to Yeast, out to Yeast, out to Yeast. So now they go out and up, enabled because he had all day to do it. But the thing that amazed me on that, Paul, is that, again, there wasn't another defender within 30 yards. They had Don Bibb out there all by himself against Yeast.
They have Antonio Roundtree, top of your picture now, too, on Gary Davis, who replaces Yeast. They'll throw to the ball carrier out of the backfield and set Anthony White. And White is down to the running back, down to the about the 41-yard line. Spotted the ball close to the first down marker, and our officiating crew going to want to take a look. I'll stop the clock. You see 6 and change remaining here in the third. Tim Couch's best day through the air last year statistically in terms of yards, the 476 yards that he piled up against the University of Tennessee in the regular season finale in a game between Peyton Manning and Couch that got about 900 yards combined between the two. He is on pace there if Howell leaves him in the game.
Well, Peyton Manning, the #1 pick in the draft, when you talk to Hal Mumme, when you talk to NFL scouts, as they compare Couch now to Manning at the end of his career, at the end of his senior year, they say that they both have a knack for winning. They have a knack for knowing where to throw the ball. But Couch is probably more accurate and more physically strong. There's nothing that Peyton Manning could do that Couch can't do at least as well. One of the reasons that the Kentucky Wildcats are so excited about this guy, they saw what Manning was able to do in the Southeastern Conference last year. There's no reason why Couch shouldn't be able to do even more for Kentucky this year.
It's 4th down and a matter of inches here, so Kentucky with a couple of tight ends looks to try and get Louisville to jump.
Yeah, those offensive linemen are coached to close their eyes in that.
Mumme was known last year for going out for it on 4th down, and here Homer stumbles in the backfield.
Boy, did they make it, Paul? It depends on this spot.
It is the spot. And it is a 1st down.
Well, that's close, because his knee hit the ground, then he scooted forward a little bit farther.
Hear the grumbling and the protestations of the head coach.
I don't know about that. I thought his knee hit the ground and then he fell forward to get that 1st down.
Well, it's a fresh set of downs, and Couch looking to tie his own mark of 7 touchdown passes in a game. Works out of the gun, wants to snap it to him, and the inside handoff.
White, the ball carrier.
Anthony White working here.
Number 20.
Anthony White, a major breakout season last year as a sophomore. Has 700+ yards on the ground to lead the Cats. And a couple of 100-yard rushing performances for
Anthony White is another guy in that Kentucky offense that creates matchup problems for any defense, because Anthony White can run the ball pretty much as well as Derek Homer can, but he's one of the best backs coming out of the backfield to receive the ball in the Southeastern Conference. So who do you put on him? Do you put a big linebacker to stuff him on the run? Do you put a little cover linebacker on him? Big matchup problems.
2nd down and
getting
8.
close to 3. Play action to Homer. Couch runs. Flag thrown behind him. Couch sprints out of bounds. 2 yards shy of a first at the 30-yard line, but the referee threw the flag as Couch was scooting out of trouble. And it is against, on the preliminary indication, against the Cats. They'll bring it back.
Big Mark Gantos, number 74 for the Cardinals, has not slowed down. You can see that conditioning that he went through, losing all that weight this offseason, gaining all that strength. It's a hot day. We're heading towards the 4th quarter, and yet it was his hustle that drew what I think is a holding penalty.
On the offense, we're going to run 10 yards, follow the foul. Replay 2nd down.
Mark Gantos, another building block for this team. He is at what they call the point of their defense, which is out over the tight end on running plays. On pass plays, he has to rush on their right tackle. But he's a guy they need to hold up. They feel he's their best defensive lineman. That's why they want him there. He's a guy that for the future, this season, they'll be counting on heavily.
The 9th penalty today against Kentucky, as Couch with Gantos chasing him, rolls to the boundary and throws, and it's ruled incomplete.
That's ruled incomplete, caught out of bounds.
Quentin McCord cannot get his feet set inbounds. Go back down to Darren.
Well, guys, if you think the offense is bright, look on the defensive side of the ball. You see this guy back here, number 56. His name is Dennis Johnson. He and his brother Derek Johnson were 2 of the best defensive players in the history of Kentucky high school football. First team All-State, first time that ever happened. The 2 brothers were on the first team All-State. Not to mention, do you even know when these guys began playing high school football? In the 2nd and 3rd grade. I kid you not.
See, being 8 years old and playing high school football. Out of the backfield and open. Dougie Allen sheds a tackle and is down to the 31. That is now the 10th different receiver to touch the ball.
And that is another good receiver. This is the deep a receiving core. As you'll find in the nation, Dougie Allen, the 10th guy to catch a ball. He's a true freshman, but he runs routes like a veteran. You watch him stride it out in practice. You watch him get in and out of his breaks. He doesn't look like a kid that just came out of high school, and yet he's only the 10th guy to have caught a ball today. Where does it stop? In the depth of this receiving core and running back core.
4th down. The 2nd time on this possession that Kentucky is going for it, and why not? We're still in the third, and the Cats in a commanding position. And that is a first down.
Derek Homer, the ball
Last
carrier.
year, and now a late flag thrown in. Appeared. Let's see. Something went flying in. It may have been the beanbag. From Steve Newman, the referee, as if the ball came out late.
The Cardinal defense is stripping at that football. They're trying to get it out of there.
And it does belong to Louisville. So an earlier fumble that was late. It appeared the forward progress had been stopped as well. As Roundtree comes away with the football here after the ball popped free.
Well, that's one of the things that the coaching staff for the Cardinals will be looking at in the game films as they study them this weekend. They want to see who's still playing hard, who's flying around, who's giving it everything they've got, because those are the guys they want on the field for the rest of this season. And one thing that you'll find in this Louisville team that you'll never find in a lot of teams, that this team will never, ever, ever give up.
Homer, they have gotten a home field call there. Points in the Battle of the Bluegrass between the Cats and the Cards. And it's Chris Redman who threw his second touchdown pass of the afternoon at his previous possession, getting them set offensively. On first down, everyone out in the pattern. And some miscommunication with Arnold Jackson, their intended receiver. Hey, coming up next on this busy day for college football, the Big Ten and the Pac-10. And the Illini snap that long losing skid. They take on Washington State on the road. And then a couple of Heisman contenders locking up. Brock Heward leading Washington against tailback sensation J.R. Redman. They are in the desert in Tempe. It's where every team would like to play its final game of this college season, where the championship game will be in. All up on Fox Sports Net tonight. They go coast to coast, and Redman goes down. Marvin Major with the big hit. A man who played a vital role in getting this Louisville program going again is down with Darren. He helped build this stadium, Darren.
He certainly did. You know, they call the United Center in Chicago the house that Michael built. This stadium right here might be the house that Howard Schnellenberger built. What does it mean to you to see this thing come to fruition? You came here in 1985 and got the ball rolling.
Well, this means success for a lot of people. It means success for the people that came as young players to play for us, the coaches that came together, that achieved and won and beat Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl. And those 3,500 people that put $15 million in the bank 7 years ago to make it happen.
That's fantastic. Also, you know, you've coached Testaverde and Kelly and some other great quarterbacks, Kozar. What do you think about this guy Couch and the other kid?
Well, I think both of them, both Tim Couch and Chris Redman, are both quality quarterbacks. They weren't tested today, but they certainly had great numbers. The difference between these two teams today is not the quarterbacks, but the play of the offense and defensive line.
Now, many people don't know this. You're not out of football. You're at Florida Atlantic University, starting a program up 2001. How is that?
Well, it's going very well. We look forward to the opportunity to bring football to Florida Atlantic. We're scheduled to do that at the Division I AA level, year 2001. A lot of support, a lot of football players in that area. Great opportunity.
Howard Schnellenberger, good luck to you. Thanks again. Back upstairs to Paul.
Won a national championship, of course, at Miami. Says he has the blueprint for building a winner. Played at Kentucky. Coach Brian did Howard Schnellenberger, and of course had Louisville to the point that they beat the Crimson Tide in a New Year's Day bowl game.
He's got the credibility to start up a new program.
Got an iron chin on him, doesn't he? Howard Schnellenberger here today. That win over Alabama, getting to that bowl game was seed money for this stadium. Borson sends it up to shoot. Yeast calls for it and makes the fair catch. 32-yard line. 2:43 remaining. New stadium here today, and just the third year for Conference USA, which expands now to 8 teams. The Cadets of West Point join the league this year. You see Army at the bottom of your picture there. What great tradition that they bring to CUSA. The number of NFL performers here too, Trevor, pretty impressive, especially the draft last year.
Well, look at Louisville and Houston there, especially Louisville with the 16 players playing in the NFL currently. You know, those guys are hard to replace, but they have a history of developing those kind of athletes here at this school and in this conference.
Jason Fabini starts at right tackle offensively tomorrow out of the University of Cincinnati for Bill Parcells from the New York Jets as they open the season. The rookie went in there, won himself a job. Anthony White on the receiving end for 4. So Kentucky now much more conservative with Couch. They throw underneath here, and they've been running the ball a great deal more in the latter stages of quarter number 3 after Couch threw for 5 touchdown passes in the first half and tacked on number 6 here.
Well, running the ball gives the big dogs their bones. Those 5 guys right there, this is a reward for them. All right, guys, you've been pass blocking all game. You get to come off and get some meat.
Checks at the line. Sees something he likes. It's Yeast. When he sees Yeast matched up, locked up in man coverage with, say, Rashad Holman, as was the case here, he'll take those on.
Every time. And the Louisville defense is allowing that to happen with some cushion there. But Yeast one-on-one against anybody is a place to go. The problem is if you double up on Yeast, who's going to cover Coleman? Who's going to cover Dougie Allen? Who's going to cover Lance Mickelson? Who's going to cover those 2 backs out of the backfield? So that's why Yeast has had single coverage the whole game.
We don't have all the answers here. We don't have all the answers, but we got a lot of questions here to John L. Smith. On first down, here is Homer. They pulled the center and Jason Watts try and open up on him. Before Jeremy Streck there too, the guard.
You know, sometimes what they'll do with those big fans is they'll put big blocks of ice in front of those fans on really, really hot days to blow it off of that ice so it'll cool it off even more. But that's a bunch of guys there that doesn't have to feel too bad about what's happened here. The thing really that John L. Smith wants right now out of this team is, and Chris Redman, is for them to continue to go, to continue to work hard. Now, Redman, how tough can you be? Look at that. It looks like he got his chin split wide open on one of those hits. You'll still find him in there battling, and that's what they want to build on.
2nd and 10. Post route in progress. And through the arms of Jermaine White. White's been on the receiving end of a 57-yard touchdown strike today. And that was right on his hand.
Well, that was the problem with White last year as a true freshman. He'd make some spectacular plays, then he dropped some passes like that. Again, he seemed to have much better consistency over the course of this offseason, this summer camp, but that's the kind of thing right there that they want him to get over, and you know what? He will. This is a kid that has no idea the natural ability that he has, and once he starts to figure out what he really is capable of doing, not just on this level, but on the next one, you're going to see this guy start to have a new urgency to his preparation. This guy you'll be hearing from for years to come.
Major infraction being stepped off against Louisville. May have been roughing the passer.
Personal foul. Illegal contact to the face on the defense. First down.
Much the same thing. Al step it all the way down to the 40-yard line with less than a minute to go in period number 3. Couch has him on a string at the moment. He has been in command since the latter stages of quarter number 1. Team once trailed 7-3, but Anthony White and the Wildcats from nearby Lexington, 70 miles away from this stadium, have roared back. Rashad Harris with his 10th tackle of this football game. A valiant effort from him, just a sophomore. Ed Harris. And he's all of 18 now, Trevor, as you were pointing out. Last year as a 17-year-old, they go into Penn State, and he has a double-digit tackle showing there.
And when you're 17 playing against 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, there's a big difference in your physical development.
Big spread. You're right. 2nd down. On the draw. And White bent back. A year ago against Louisville, Anthony White had a 100-yard rushing game and a 100-yard receiving game. Maybe he'll tack on a few more yards as we go to the 4th. On Fox Sports Net on College Football Saturday, the first of 3. Coast to coast today. Quarterback Chris Redman and bloodied left chin looking at his counterpart, and Couch throw for a 7th touchdown of the afternoon. Quentin McCord from Couch. Couch equals his own Kentucky record and sets to a single game passing mark.
Each team will attempt the extra point.
From 32 yards away, right on the money to Quentin McCord. For McCord, his second of the afternoon. The record shattering in Big Blue continues. Well, the numbers continue to mount for Tim Couch, making a statement right out of the starting gate. Churchill Downs across the street. So the run for the Heisman begins with a clang of the bell, and one of the two twin spires of college football in the Commonwealth, along with Chris Redman. That man there, Tim Couch, with 7 touchdown passes. Let's go back to the Paul Bryant years. And the last time a Kentucky team scored points like this. Heck, Hal Mumme wasn't even born. Their coach. Antonio Roundtree. At the 20-yard line.
Paul, there's a lot more precision in this than you would think. On the training tape, they have a drill called throw it in the bucket, where the quarterbacks loft the ball up in the air, and then what they do is they put a bucket right here, and that ball comes right into the bucket. Quarterbacks do that every single day. Why? Because when there's a receiver there, it's a touchdown. This is very, very precise. Now look at this one-on-one coverage with Roundtree out there on McCord, and this is just pure speed. McCord runs right by him.
Dropped it right in that bucket, didn't he? Tip of the football down. Arnold Jackson takes the cut to the sideline as we open up the fourth quarter. Hey, we are in the fourth. Couch scoring to get it underway. And I'll look at the numbers here. Close to 800 yards between the two, the most ever for Couch.
And you know,
the TDs, the most yards.
Redman has his numbers in the face of a rush that split open his chin.
On the ground. Man that hit the hole the hardest today, then Raphael Cooper. Sliced it up in there pretty good, hasn't he? Got some heart to him.
This whole team has a lot of heart. And again, that stems from their strength and conditioning program. When John L. Smith got here, he didn't like what he saw in the offseason program. He immediately went to the University of Texas, got Rock Gullickson, Evan Marcus to come in and institute a program, not just to make them stronger, but to make them tougher. And even though the score is out of hand right now, you can see that toughness in the way they're playing in this fourth quarter.
Redman, pressure again, throws it up short. Charles Sheffield in the vicinity, but the push continues to come up front. Does this surprise you, the way that Kentucky has been able to totally control the line of scrimmage physically now in the second half?
It surprises me that they've controlled it physically like they have, again, given the conditioning level of this Cardinals football team. However, this is the kind of a thing that you would pretty much expect from this kind of a system being installed, and I'll tell you about that in just a second.
Sheffield out wide to the top of your screen there. On third down. Over the middle. Nice effort. Incomplete for Lavelle Boyd. Laid out for the ball, and late flags down in the backfield.
That's the frustration there. Coach will be looking for mental discipline, but when John L. Smith got to Utah State, he installed this offense, this defense, and they went 0-5 his first year there. But they finished that season at 4-7. The next 2 years at Utah State, John L. Smith and his staff had their team win their conference just in the second year. Now, when you look at what Howard Schnellenberger did here, his first 3 years, he failed to win more than 3 games.
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike on the offense, offset by a dead ball, personal foul on the defense, 4th down.
He failed to win more than 3 games, but then in 1988 he went 8-3. In 90, Paul, you alluded to the 10-1-1 season where they won the Fiesta Bowl. And so John L. Smith doesn't want to wait 3 years to start to win, but it takes his team a while to learn what he wants them to do because it's fairly complex.
They went to a bowl game last year as the champions of the Big West, played Cincinnati out of Conference USA. Kendrick Shanklin, a freshman from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in his first college game. Calls for the fair catch.
catch
at the 24-yard line. We may get to see him carrying the ball when the starters are rested for Kentucky. Does Couch come back onto the field? We're about to find out. To the house. And this day will always be remembered for a record-tying performance on his part, the first ever game in the history of Cardinals Stadium.
Recovered by Kentucky.
Derek Homer cannot handle the football, is handed off from Matt Mummy in his Wildcat debut. And yes, that's the son of the head coach. His first ever game here as he transferred from, holding up two there for us, Division II Valdosta State. So he jumped from Division II over 1AA to Division I football.
And this poor guy has had the misfortune to back up some great quarterbacks during his career.
Misfortune or learning experience, but here a chance to play now. To the boundary, and his first completion for Kentucky's Gary Davis.
And you see him throw
that
that
football?
That's a hard throw to make. He was on the opposite hash. He had to drill it on an out, about a 12-yard out. That's a difficult throw to make. And Matt Mummy, his first throw, bravo.
Those quarterbacks that you mentioned, Chris Hatcher, 4 years ago, won the Harlan Hill Award, given to the best player in Division II. As you see Tim Couch over-congratulating his teammates on his performance today, and we still have 13 minutes to go in this game.
They should let him in there to get a 2-yard completion to make it 500.
And here finds James Whalen, who was on the receiving end of one of those 6 touchdown strikes.
Now look at the accuracy that Mummy's got there. Part of that is because he's been with his father since he was in about the 2nd grade, talking football over the dinner table. So he knows this system probably better than Couch does, because when Couch was in the 2nd grade, he wasn't listening to Matt Mummy or to Hal Mummy like Matt was.
Now the gain on the play there of 16. Couple of completions, good for 21 yards, and now off tackle. And Homer looks to turn the corner at midfield.
Derek Homer is the ball carrier.
They have Homer in the game now for one purpose, you would believe, and that is to get him to the 100-yard mark. The 2nd consecutive outing, finished the year with Tennessee on that.
Well, in the back of any coach's mind, way far in the back, but in the back, you want to do right by your guys. If you've got guys with talent that have been working hard for you, you want to get them their chances, their receptions, their rushes, because these are guys that have a chance to do things on the national level from a standpoint of awards. And they've been working hard. You want to give them that shot.
Homer comes right through the left side.
Tackled by number 41, Xavier Burrell.
And down to the 35-yard line. So Mummy here and backing up Chris Hatcher first, who won the Harlan Hill Award, and then Lance Funderburg, the runner-up a couple of years ago for the Harlan Hill. Pretty talented players, but that was again at Valdosta State, with all due respect, Division II. Now Mummy makes the big jump and is the number 2 quarterback behind number 2. Won the job in the spring, the senior transfer. And on the move, another completion for him. The tight end, Jimmy Haley, tucks it to the 30-yard line.
To number 37, Jimmy Haley.
Jimmy Haley made the grab of the day, perhaps, that one-handed touchdown snare at the goal line earlier in the afternoon.
You've got a personal highlight reel, and you've got a team highlight reel. That was going to make the team highlight reel, but Haley is going to have that one playing on a continuous loop, I think, at his home.
On
his personal highlight reel. It was awesome. Up in the air, one hand behind him, touchdown.
Couch got 3 of his touchdowns in that quarter.
Paul, it's one thing to have a quarterback that throws the ball so accurately he completes into tight places. It's another thing to have a quarterback like that, and on the few times that he doesn't throw it accurately, guys like Haley can go up and get it anyhow.
And Gary Davis, just 5 receptions all of last year for Davis.
Well, Gary Davis is being mentored by Craig Yeast. They've got a mentoring program on this where the veteran wide receivers, they kind of mentor the younger guys because there's so many, the coach can't coach them all.
Got 3 this afternoon. Homer pinned in. There I go. To the 6-yard line, first and goal, Cats. And that'll take him over 100 yards. And he'll go to the sidelines having produced a triple-digit performance.
Well, Paul, here's a coaching point that'll come up tomorrow in the defensive game film. Number 96, Kennedy, goes to make the tackle and ends up on the ground. Instead of driving his feet through the tackle, he ends up reaching for him, stopping his feet. Homer kept running, and therefore he broke that tackle at the line of scrimmage. That's what allowed Homer to get through.
Wonderful day for him. So back-to-back, $131 against the Vols, and now 121 here against Louisville for their sophomore.
And look at Mummy, drink that water. Well-deserved refreshing break.
Mummy's got the towel going on. He's got the water bottle here, trying to stay cool.
And I'll tell you this, and this guy right here, you talk about, this is adding injury to insult. This is Dennis, big defensive tackle. You know, you add insult to injury, okay. But this is injury to insult, because this is, you know, this defense is embarrassed right now. Even though they've played a physical, hard game, they've been out of position a few times, but now to get hurt on top of it, that's a frustrating thing to have to go through. Different thing on the sideline of Kentucky.
So the senior, as you see, marking today his first career start at defensive tackle, playing on the inside in the trenches. Helped off the field and hopefully not seriously injured. Kentucky driving again. Does Mummy get his first touchdown pass? Woof. Shade your eyes if you're a Cardinal fan. Mummy with the newcomer Kendrick Shanklin toting the rock. Shanklin down to the 1. You're familiar with Warren Dunn, of course, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Travis Minor, the showing he put on national TV last week for Florida State. They all came out of the same high school as Kendrick Shanklin, Catholic High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They look somewhat alike, too.
You know, he does look a lot like Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn is the littlest guy on the field, no matter where he plays, but he's the kind of guy that you can't catch. If you can catch him, you could throw him all the way out of the stadium over the upper deck, but you just can't catch the kid.
Why not give Homer a touchdown here? They put him back in the game, not in the goal line situation. 2nd and 4 shots. And he's able to power his way in for the 6.
Again, Paul, what that is, that's how Mummy giving his guy his due. Homer's prepared to have a great game. He doesn't want him to have a great season. Doesn't want him to get lost in all the fuss and all the excitement with that passing game. That's doing right by your guys right there. And really, they're throwing the ball short here. They're running the ball mostly up the middle. And so there's not a whole lot less that they can do right now from a scheme standpoint.
9 plays, covering 3/4 of the field, and all the new head coach for the Cards, John L. Smith, can do is grin and bear it. It has to be killing him on the inside.
It is, but any football coach is not patient, but he knows he has to work to be patient. John L. Smith doesn't want to wait for a period of years for this thing to gel. I don't think that he will, but he also understands the struggle that he's got. He came into a 1-10 team.
After the play was over, we'll try the PAT from the 1.5.
He came in, took over a 1-10 team that didn't have good work ethics. It didn't have a lot of a good momentum going from an infrastructure standpoint, from a psychological standpoint.
Homer with the touchdown. Hansen, his 8th extra point. 62-16. New setting. Many Cardinal fans and a bunch from Lexington, Kentucky, too, already heading home. The issue decided a while ago, and still 10.5 minutes remaining in the football game. Roundtree slips and goes down again.
Roundtree's going to have to get a new pair of cleats for next week's game.
We have national championship cheerleaders, though, here, Trevor, on both sides of the field. Much like Nebraska and Michigan of a year ago, a split poll. Kentucky in blue and white, they won in their division, in their association a national championship. Congratulations. And so did the Cardinal cheerleaders.
You know what? The Louisville cheerleaders, they're competitive down there. Before the game, I saw about 40 of them line up, and they all did a simultaneous, like, flip in the air and landed on their feet. All simultaneous. I couldn't believe it.
Timing is everything. Redman, Ivan Green, I think Redman goes down shoved. He's about exhausted. He's been battered and bruised and was hit late.
And throwing once again to Ivan Green.
Throwing off that back foot. Darren, no doubt where the Governor's Cup is going this year, is there?
No doubt at all. You know, Tim Couch certainly made a Heisman statement, but while he waits to see what happens with that trophy, he'll have this to keep him and the Wildcats comfy for the next year, along with those bragging rights.
Snuggle up to that.
Yeah, that won't be there forever, though. The Ivan Green, Chris Redman connection, Paul, that started when they were in the 8th grade. When they were in the 8th grade, they had a city championship grade in middle school. And Redman had broken his hand on his a bone in his throwing hand. To win the game, he had to score a touchdown, and he threw an ugly pass to Ivan Green, who caught it. And after that, the chemistry between those two continued on through high school and now here to the University of Louisville.
I played for Redman's dad, Bob, at Louisville Male High School. Raphael Cooper took a shot in the ribs there. Louisville just trying to clean up the score here with the time they have remaining. They got plenty of time to put some more points on the board. Certainly 23 would look a whole lot better than 16 on Sunday.
They're trying to build for next week, though, because there'll be a huge difference between this game and next, just in terms of assignment and recognition in these new systems. So they're still working hard. Kentucky, they won it, but Louisville still has hard work to do.
Jackson comes back to the football, and he'll be about 3 yards shy of first down. Kentucky next week will remain in the Bluegrass State. In fact, they take on one of the great coaches in the history of the game, Roy Kidd, and Eastern Kentucky, and what will be their second game of the year, their very first in Commonwealth, which is going to undergo a massive expansion. They're going to bowl in both end zones, start on one end zone, the south end zone, right away, and the north end zone next year. Next week for Louisville, they'll be facing Utah, the Utes. John L. Smith is very familiar with Utah as the head coach at Utah State. He's beaten Utah in each of the last 2 years. Going on the road there. Flagged out again. 62-16 here.
Offside.
Kevin Frazier back in your college football Saturday studio. Time to send you out to our Big Ten, Pac-10 matchup. Tim Couch, a monster day, throwing his hat in the Heisman Trophy circle. But anyway, we'll keep updating you on the Kentucky and Louisville game, but let's get out to Pullman, where Barry Tompkins is standing by.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Well, they had a little taste of it here last year in Pullman. Now they want more. Roll this one around. Washington State, defending champs.
Now that Moreau has carried the ball. He carried the ball about 3 times in the first half. Where has he been? Benched now until the 4th quarter, and he gained 17.
Well, they needed their fast guys, their receivers, in order to be able to try to get a big play. Moreau's not that guy right now. But take a look at the left tackle, 71, right there on the right of your screen, number 6 on Johnson. That guy's 330 pounds. John Grivna, he gets out and cuts a safety. That's what allows Cooper to have the freedom to get to that corner.
Gain on the play of 17. Moreau now. Bent back, and there's that freshman, David Johnson.
Frank Moreau again, the ball carrier.
Out of Virginia Beach and Princess Anne coming up from the secondary. That's the way you play the run out of the secondary.
Well, if he goes up and tries to hit Moreau too hard, he's going to find himself with a serious headache tomorrow.
See all those wristbands? They all have all those plays. His head must have been spinning last night thinking about
52 numbers on that. They signal in a number, 29, and everybody knows what to do because they check that wristband. What's adjacent to 29?
The defense has been impressive. Mike Major, their coordinator, must be proud. Now Green is batted down. It was thrown behind him, and a flag is thrown too. You would believe it's pass interference initially. Chris Demery, freshman linebacker from right here in Louisville, checking in a reserve role.
Well, you mentioned University of Utah next week for Louisville. Having coached at Utah State for 3 years, the second 2 years there, John L. Williams and Utah State, their staff, they beat Utah, and that's their big rival. The first year Utah won, but then they've got their number. And so John L. Williams knows how to play those guys out there. The talent that he has here in Louisville compared to Utah State, fairly comparable. He's got enough tools here to do the same thing to the University of Utah that he did at Utah State. However, Utah while they'll know his schemes, won't really know how he's going to mold these players to those schemes for that game. So there will be a strategic advantage in this game right here next week for the Cardinals.
Going back to the WAC to take on Utah.
And football's flying every which way in that WAC. It'll be
on the defense. Ball be placed at the 13, first down.
Boy, that's not a break for Louisville, is it? If it is, that might be, what, the second of the day.
Kentucky has had more than its share of penalties. That's the 12th of the afternoon for them.
13-yard line.
Been pretty close to perfection, though, for the Cats today. Scooting is Raphael Cooper. And Cooper is pounded out of bounds inside the 10-yard line.
Paul, you know, another reason why Cooper's able to get to those corners, what we talked about early in the game, conditioning. Now, right now, the score is out of hand from a standpoint of a realistic shot to come back and tie this up and win the game. However, Louisville's still playing hard. Kentucky is also playing hard, but Louisville has that extra edge right now because of their superior conditioning. Probably won't help them win this game, but it's going to help them win games in the future. That's why he's able to get those corners right now.
Sheffield and Jackson spreading the field. Boyd in the slot to the near side. And it's Cooper. Right into the grinder off the left side. So they spread the field, and Kentucky was not going anywhere. There are a lot of fresh jerseys on that side of the football right now in blue and white. People getting a chance to play. 95 in the middle of your picture there, and Gordon Crow started today, the junior. And they dig in. Defense with some pride here. Kentucky, it appeared, had 12 men on the field trying to run a defender off.
First down to the 2-yard line.
And he was sprinting to the sidelines. I do not believe he got out of bounds, but I don't see a flag. You had David Johnson still on the field.
And he tried to sprint off. The ball was snapped. He was still on. Technically, they could have called a penalty there. But again, Johnson was one of the last guys, veterans, to be replaced on that field. He's one of the guys that Cooper outran to that sideline, but now a whole fresh group of Wildcats.
Everybody missed it. Cooper turned back at the goal line, falls forward, and has the score. Raphael Cooper. And a hand from the loyal Cardinal fans here, including the Ladybirds, those that have stayed. They continue to battle.
Well, watch number 5, Cooper. Now, he's going to get to that goal line. Now, watch him cringe a little. Because he knows he's going to get hit. Now, when you see his head snap like that, that's what a good hit is. There are hits that look good, but they're not. You watch the head of the guy that takes the blow, that's a hit. Now, the fact that he was able to turn around, roll it back in after taking a head snap and shot like that, again, something good that the coaches will point to.
And now Louisville for a second time. We'll go to 4-2. Sheffield in motion for a pick play perhaps on this side. And again, Redman. Just the pocket collapsing around him. Ronnie Riley, a linebacker. The freshman got in there. What a great day this has been nonetheless for Tim Couch. Count them, 7 touchdown passes. The first came to James Whalen Jr. Backup tight end.
That's just a pitch and catch. West Coast offense. Whalen has the time to catch a crossing route on the opposite side. Scores.
And Quentin McCord, 48 yards out.
Same play. Couch has the time to let McCord cross all the way across the field.
Jermaine White, 57 yards out. Right over Rashad Holman.
And a perfect pass laid in there.
It continued to pile on. Craig Hughes, or rather Haley, the one-arm grab here for this catch from 22, and now Hughes the first of 2. Stepping up, good footwork, Trevor.
They practice that every day. That's a drill that they do.
And why not go back to it all the way? And his 7th of the afternoon, and his 2nd to Quentin McCord.
And this is throw it in the bucket. It lands in the bucket in the end zone.
7 in all. And Couch with close to 500 yards. Just about this shy of 500 yards.
You know, I don't know that there's any defense in the country that would have done much to stop this guy today. Because as you look at the way he's hit his receivers, most of the time the ball has been dead on accurate.
Onside kick will not be coming. Shanklin should have a return. He let that hit at the 2-yard line, though. And it scoots out of the end zone.
Well, it would have been him on 10 coverage guys because Kentucky had everybody up to guard against an onside kick. You're not in a position to block. If he catches that ball and returns it, he's going to make his own way through a sea of red.
The first rushing touchdown of the season for John L. Smith. Feels as if he's been on the receiving end of a John L. Sullivan knockout blow. An immortal boxer today on the part of his cross-state rival.
And how would Howard Cosell have called that one?
And down goes Frazier, huh? But Couch, as good as advertised, stronger, more experienced. And as John Smith was saying, his own quarterback Redman next year in the second year of his system would be even more effective. Now Shanklin will get the carry, and still another tackle for Rashad Harris.
And now, Paul, you've got an important thing going on the Kentucky side of the ball. Behind those 5 senior offensive linemen, you've got 3 freshmen and a sophomore to come up and replace them next year. Talking to offensive line coach Guy Morris, he wanted a couple of games to get out of hand so he could get his youngsters some practice. Because next year, when those guys are gone, who's going to protect the quarterback? And I think that the backup offensive line will have a lot to do with whether or not Tim Couch stays next year or goes to the NFL.
Second down here for young Matt Mummy. Working the play clock. Shanklin. Footwork across the 25 and onto the 23-yard line. And you're right, Josh Parrish is out there, and you see the reserves for UK. Mike Campe in the backfield, too. Nolan Devon. All reserves now on the offensive front behind those 5 Wildcat senior linemen who did a great job.
And these are young guys, 3 redshirt freshmen and a sophomore included in this group. This is invaluable experience for these guys.
75, Matt Brown from Hardaway, Texas, in his very first game. He's just a freshman. Deep handoff. And he will not get there.
But, Guy, look at the size of these freshmen. You've got Matt Brown, redshirt freshman, at 304 pounds. You've got 306, 327, 278. My freshman year at BYU, Paul, I weighed 220 pounds. I wouldn't make this team.
You wouldn't. They're huge. Huh?
They're huge, and they're freshmen, these guys. They haven't even grown up yet. Look at this.
Kentucky, by the way, is going to go for it here on 4th down.
You see, you got the base of the offensive line for pass protection and for run blocking, and these guys have a great base.
Martez Johnson, a freshman, he too from Detroit. On the carry there. And now Kentucky, running down the clock, will elect to burn a timeout with just under 6 minutes remaining in this game. 5:54 away from the finish line. 62-22. As Mummy's over to have a father-son chat.
You know what he's saying? Hey, Dad, what's Mom making for dinner tonight?
Tomorrow, Sunday, Fox NFL Sunday. Most of you will see the Lions. Barry Sanders taking on the Pack or the Redskins. Trevor's team facing the Giants, plus other regional action. It all starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. The pregame show, Chris Collingsworth is there. Terry, Howie, JB, and Chris right here on Fox.
And Paul, that group is going to be in the Meadowlands for that Redskins-Giants game.
James Dennis with ice on that left knee. Yeah, the Redskins have spent a lot of money on their 2 run stuffers up front. Does it help them? Find out tomorrow.
I don't think anybody's going to score on the Redskins this year.
Somebody wake up Jimmy Carter. Just his second punt of the afternoon. Jackson fumbles the ball and has to fall on it himself at the 41-yard line.
The 40-yard line on the return.
Coming up next is their life after Leaf in Pullman. And Illinois has not won the once proud Fighting Illini 17 consecutive games. How did that happen?
Well, the last game that the Cardinals won, Louisville Cardinals, was against Illinois last season.
The great demeanor, the relaxed demeanor of Hal Mumme. He has fit in Lexington in a big way. They have a street name for Hal Mumme. Coached 1 5-6 team. They hung the street sign out before he'd won a game out there. They love him so much.
They waited for Holmgren to win a Super Bowl before they did that for him in Green Bay. Mumme doesn't play a game, and he's got it.
Redman on the roll for Ivan, and it's broken up. Incomplete. Defending on the play, Ronnie Riley.
Ronnie Riley on the coverage.
And they're hoping that 1998 might be the year of the cat. They have not been to a bowl game since the Peach Bowl indoors in '93. Their last winning season came in the decade of the '80s.
Well, Paul, the formula that Kentucky has on offense right now works. It's the BYU formula. My senior year at BYU, Robbie Bosco was the quarterback. It was our national championship season. We had 9 sacks given up that year, and it didn't matter who we played. They couldn't stop our receivers when the quarterbacks had that protection.
Everybody still covered. Redman whacked as he throws that ball. Absolutely crushed as he let it get away, and it is incomplete. Now you got to ask yourself, this one is over with. What's to be gained by allowing him to stay out of here?
Everything. They've got to get continuity.
Dennis Johnson.
He needs to learn how to run this offense. And again, that's helmet to chin strap, and that's a $20,000 fine in the National Football League right there.
That's that young pup in Johnson in his first game for UK.
You can't find him $20,000. Don't know where he come up with it. But I'll tell you, it's so tough to do what he's done, but he's a tough kid, and he's going to have a great season for this Louisville Cardinal team.
6 straight incompletions till this snare by Ivan Green, who's off and running. Can he get into the end zone? Yes, touchdown. How about Redman? Gets off the deck after a shot to the chops, and it's a 60-yard touchdown connection to Ivan Green. That is character in Louisville red.
And that will show up, and it will show up this year. That combination is going to do that a lot this year. And Paul, you asked why Redman was still in there. Why is Green still in there? That's why. They're learning a new offense. They need to get those reps, get those reads, so that as the season goes on, they're doing it automatically. They can do that more often. That's the same reason that the Cardinals' starting defense is still on the field.
Redman with his 3rd touchdown pass of the afternoon. Our 2 quarterbacks have combined for 10, and nobody picked up Jackson. He just threw it out in the flat, and now it's ruled incomplete. That the ball hit the turf. A defender had failed to go over, and what mirrors this afternoon, even Jackson all alone, they couldn't get it to him for the 2-point conversion.
Well, here goes Ivan Green, number 6. And again, you just can't cover him with a linebacker, especially a backup linebacker. He does this against starting linebackers all over the country, which is why last year he was the #1 receiving tight end in college football.
His 2nd of the afternoon. He can break out the red and white Cardinal flags. What do they say? A team improves the most from the first game to the second game, especially under a first-year head coach.
You can't simulate this in practice. Every practice, about 10 minutes or so, they go first team against first team, but still it's different from a game. Now look at those cuts there. Last year against against Cincinnati, this guy had his chin split wide open. And this offseason, the new offensive line coach, Art Polero, went to Chris Redman's parents to promise them that their son would not need stitches again on his chin. Well, you know what? Game 1, he got it. But you know what? Art Polero is doing a good job with that offensive line. And as everybody figures this out, this will be a sight that they won't need to look at. But you know, for parents to look at this, they can be proud of their son, because it's not easy to do that.
The fans love him here. In fact, there was a poll on the internet of the greatest quarterback in Louisville history, and it wasn't Johnny Unitas, who today had a statue erected in his honor. A man voted there, Chris Redman, as the best quarterback ever to play here, and I think they have fallen in love with his character.
And you know something? Those pictures that we're seeing right now are going to add to that. And those pictures will live on years from now.
Talented quarterbacks there. At the bottom of your screen, Jay Gruden, now the head coach of Orlando's team in the Arena League. They won the league in his first year as the head coach. He played, of course, for Howard Schnellenberger.
How many times have you seen in the NFL a guy bleeding like that, go back in and play, and that fires up, it inspires the team. Now, I'll guarantee you that they're going to show that to that whole team, not just the offensive line. The offense, the defense, everybody's going to see that from Chris Redman. And what John L. Smith was going to say is, guys, we need everybody to be tough like this kid. We're going to be all right.
In the Derby City this afternoon, Kentucky first to the wire. They've gotten quite an effort, too, out of the University of Louisville. Won just one game last year as a new coach in here, and the stadium really stole the show. This masterpiece, $63 million.
If you look
so many people that participated in building this.
Cardinals starting defense still on the field. Get practice in a new system.
5 minutes to go. Mummy on the move, floats it, and that is caught by Shanklin, who is up in it, lifted into the air, out of bounds. Stop the clock. Tony Stallings got him airborne.
Well, you mentioned the stadium. It's over $60 million to build this.
That was Chetty Ockham, by the way.
$15 million was raised towards this stadium before the first dollar from corporate sponsors came in. They had little town meetings all over to sell season tickets, sell personal seat licenses, and that's why they consider this the Green Bay of college football, because the town really feels like they own a piece of this.
Ockham becomes the 11th receiver to catch a pass today for the University of Kentucky. 11 different Wildcats have caught passes. The quick feet of Martez Johnson.
Number 4, Johnson.
He doesn't want to go down. Mummy, with these wild kittens, the recruiting class that he has, these young kids, now you begin to develop competition on the practice field in depth.
Well, they've got the depth, and they'll have it for a while because they're young. Doesn't this look like Rich Stadium in Buffalo to you?
Has a bit of that, doesn't it?
The way it sweeps around, it really, really does. But Ken Nord, Rick Nord's father, Rick Nord, the starting offensive guard for the Cardinals, owns a deli. Nord's Brownback Deli. In just the meetings that he held in his deli, he raised $180,000 towards the building of this stadium, and other places did that all over Louisville and all over the area. This community has a real feeling of ownership and pride in what they've accomplished here to put this together.
Mummy's pass broken up by number 2.
The intended target on the play for UK. Ockham once again. Coleman, Nicholson, McCord, White, Ockham, Dougie Allen, Jimmy Robinson, Yeast, Davis. Entire roster of Blue Bloods.
Well, it doesn't stop them. I mean, you mentioned, Paul, the 10th Wildcat to catch a pass today.
11th.
Dougie Allen. Dougie Allen was the 11th guy?
Well, Dougie was the 10th. Ockham becomes the
11th. Dougie Allen, the 10th, could start on most teams in the SEC without a bunch of a drop-off.
It's going to be interesting to see the kind of numbers that this offense piles up against Southeastern Conference competition, which is down the road. This is Mummy now. Airborne and caught for a first down, and he'll move the stakes forward to the 49-yard line. On the receiving end there, Neil Brown, a freshman, another first-year player. Courtney Dinkins on his back with 4 minutes to go. For Dinkins, for John L. Smith, for Louisville, much like Kentucky, the first objective to win their conference championship, to compete for the conference. Conference USA, that'll take a while. Kentucky wants to climb up the ladder against the SEC. Haven't shared a conference crown since the mid-70s under Frank Kersey. They're rewriting SEC record books, too. Martez Johnson inside the 45, 43-yard line.
And Paul, I think the improvement in the record of the Kentucky team is going to go a long ways toward helping Couch in his race towards the Heisman. I mean, if there's one thing you can be sure about the Heisman Trophy race, it's like the Kentucky Derby, in that the front runner usually doesn't win it. And Couch is not the front runner, although he's one of the top candidates for it. But University of Kentucky is not known for winning a lot of football games. And if he's able to take them up to 7-4, 8-3, get into a bowl game and win it, people around the country will say, why did Kentucky do this? Must have been Couch. And that helps him on the Heisman race.
Mummy in there now, and Shanklin. A lot of green grass out there for the first down. Down the sideline. And roll out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Our producer today, Tom Hewitt, Ned Tate from Cleveland, Ohio. Directing, Barry Nicholas, Mitch Rubenstein, Reggie Wade, our technical director, Brett Smith. Engineer in charge, Steve Calker with player identification, has been a busy man today with all these wide receivers in here. as has Pistons. Russ Anderson, all the statistics. Been a mountain of numbers today. Burned out 2 calculators for him, as Kentucky and Mummy will open the year with a victory. Their first road trip, their first game to open a season away from Commonwealth since 1982.
They're going to want to open away from Commonwealth every year if it keeps going like this.
Caught again. Snared at the 15. Breaking tackles and lunging into the end zone. Did he get in? No signal yet. No signal yet. Where will they mark Vincent?